Ha! You ruined it. I was going to
did.
say...
Right, stop recording. Stop, failed.
2, 4, 6, 8, ain't never too late. Me and my radio trucking on through the night.
Hello and welcome to Long Live Hooky Street, the podcast where we rewatch and discuss every episode of Britain's most beloved TV comedy, Only Fools and Horses. I'm Jenny and I'm joined from Hong Kong by my co-host and sister Heather. Say hello, dude.
Hello, everyone.
Today we are discussing the 1989 Christmas special, The Jolly Boys Outing. And you are no longer in charge of the sandwiches.
So, it's Christmas 1989 and The Jolly Boys Outing aired on the BBC at 4:05 p.m. on Monday, December 25th, 1989, Christmas Day. The viewing figures were incredible, breaking the current records at 20.1 million.
Woo!
Runtime for this special was 1 hour and 20 minutes, and it aired straight after the TV series Bread and was followed by the news at 5:30 p.m. with Jill Dando and Michael Fish, who gets a mention in this episode. I wonder if he watched. Seems like the usual Christmas Day lineup for the BBC this year. There were some repeats of shows like Dad's Army and Some Mothers Do Have 'Em, as well as the usual Top of the Pops Christmas show, and The Queen's Speech, and the Russ Abbott Christmas show. At 6:15 p.m, the BBC showed their premiere of Crocodile Dundee. Let's look at what was topping the music and movie charts at Christmas. Christmas number 1 this year was Band-Aids, Do They Know It's Christmas?, which spent a total of 3 weeks at number 1 after its release on December 9th. And the top grossing movie of the year for 1989 was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Number 1 movie at the box office during the airing of the Jolly Boys Outing was Back to the Future Part 2. Dun, 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 dun.
You did that after the first one too as well.
Anyway, let's move on to a little trivia for this week, shall we, dude?
Okay, yes, let's do that. I will preface this by saying that I'm going to try to keep this part of the trivia shorter this week so we can focus more on the individual stories as we go through the episode. But I'm not really sure if this is any shorter than normal. John Sullivan had apparently wanted to do this episode since 1983 when he had scrawled a note about an episode called The Outing on a list called Ideas for Series 3. But he had intended originally for this outing to be to Southend. He states in a quote from the lovely Jubbly book, "The idea for this episode came from a story told to me by my sister-in-law Penny about her father's annual company Beano. They used to go on a Jolly Boys outing to Margate, which I thought was a lovely title. In the past, Beanos were the kind of thing that everyone did, and I've been on a few myself to Southend and Margate, so the episode was also based on my own experiences, and I thought you can't get more authentic than that." It seems like it was decided quite quickly that Southend wouldn't work. Director Tony Dow remembers going on the recce to Margate and the weather being terrible, wet and overcast. All of the local council people were there and they said, "We'll do anything, just make sure you don't make Margate look terrible." And he thought, bloody hell, I'm a director, not a miracle worker. Location filming dates were between May 1st to the 22nd, 1989. So just a few months after Little Problem was filmed and aired as the Series 6 finale. So there were only actually 3 days of studio shooting, which were done in June. So not really much of studio shooting for such a long episode, I thought. Obviously most of it is location, but most of the shooting was done in Margate, specifically in the Thanet area, and the majority of the cast and crew stayed at the Marina Resort Hotel in Ramsgate Harbour. It was apparently in this hotel that John Sullivan saw a shower cap labelled as bonnet de douche. So, since they were so close to Dover, and then they got a lot of French tourists, so that was where that actually originated from. This episode brings us the first appearance of Rodney and Cassandra's flat, a new set that we will see for years to come. This episode is officially the first time Albert says during the war.
Yes.
Which is something that will blow a lot of people's minds. It blew ours.
Yes.
And another first, we get the first appearance of baby Tyler. And we get the last appearance of Jevon. And finally, we also see the return of Raquel in this episode to become a permanent cast member. Though she does not appear till near the end of the episode, this is where she officially comes back into the show. And that's all for now. As I said, I have a ton of extra bits and I just wanted to slot them in as we go through the episode because we know this is going to be a long one. We really don't need me doing a huge rambling before we start. So shall we move on to our episode rankings for this week, dude?
Yes, let's do it. So our regular listeners will know by now that each week we reveal and compare our rankings for the episode. And prior to recording the entire podcast, we independently ranked all 64 episodes. If you didn't already know all that, then you are not yet one of our regular punters, and we would love for you to subscribe to the podcast. As of this recording, we now have over 600 subs, but we are still hoping to get to 1,000 as soon as possible. So please tell your mates about us. We release new episodes on Saturdays. Also, please do give us a like if you enjoyed the episode. And if this is the first time you're listening to us, we now have quite a lot of previous episodes you can go and listen to. We also have an Instagram, Facebook page, and Buy Me a Coffee for those of you who wish to support us financially. Jenny and I both have full-time jobs, so all the podcast research, recording, and editing is done in our free time. So we really appreciate your support. It keeps us going. All right, dude. So what is your... wait, I want to guess your ranking for this because I think I know what it is.
Yeah, okay, guess. Go on then.
Your number one?
Yes, this is my number one.
Woohoo!
Yes, it's my number one.
Yeah, I thought this was your number one.
Of course it's my number one.
Of course.
It's kind of
no
obvious.
doubt.
I mean, I feel I don't want to be predictable. I feel like this is an obvious episode to choose for your number one. It's a lot of people's number one.
Yeah, that's probably quite true.
I don't want to be
I can
predictable,
understand why.
but it is my favorite episode, without a doubt. There's no wiggle room. It's my favorite episode.
Okay, well, since it's your favourite episode, why don't you talk to us about why this is your favourite episode?
Why don't we do all the rankings first and then we'll talk about it? So I know that you've already had your 1 and 2, so is there a chance this is your number 3?
Correct.
Yes,
This is my number
okay.
3.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So we've done your other 2 favourites and then this is your number 3. That makes total sense. And
Yep,
then do you want to guess?
absolutely.
You want to guess the IMDb ranking?
Oh, I think IMDb has got to be like 1 or 2 for this one.
It's number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so.
And on those lines, it's also Fran's number 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there's probably not many Hundred and Horses fans that don't like this episode. I would have thought that's very few and far between.
I would be fascinated, yeah, to find out. So let us know. If I've never really heard anybody criticize this one too much. So yes, please let us know if there's anything about it you don't like, or I can't imagine. I just don't know. I feel like it's in everyone's top 5, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're probably right that it's in everyone's top 5. But as you say, there's probably someone out there that doesn't like it as much. So let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
But since this is your number 1 episode, dude, why don't you tell us why you love it?
I mean, it's going to become obvious as we go through, and we're going to talk about all the scenes and what everyone's favorite parts are. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to put it into words. It's just the best episode to me. It gives me the most familiar feeling vibes. It's the most comfortable episode to watch. It's just so much fun. It's got a great range of different emotional scenes versus funny scenes versus just fun scenes. It's probably the most nostalgic episode that makes me think of my childhood the most. I think it's the combination of the location shooting and the music that also helps bring it all together in this just really amazingly put together way. It's long as well, which you would think would mean that it would be like, okay, there's parts of it that I don't like, but I don't have parts of it that I don't like. Even though it's long, it's still so great. It doesn't drag, it doesn't lose its pace. So I think everybody agrees. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a popular episode. It's just the one that everybody will remember. So yeah. And again, like we've talked about before, like big moments that are memorable. In this one, I'd say the coach blowing up is probably the most memorable one, right?
Yeah.
Along the lines of the bar fall and the dolls blowing up in Danger UXD. These are things that always get put into the compilation documentaries and stuff. Yeah, so it's got its big moments, but it's also just got its like pure fun moments, and it's just everybody just seems really happy in this episode. Everyone's together. It's just sort of like a big hug in an episode. So yeah.
Oh, that's so weird. That's exactly what I wrote about the montage later.
Okay,
It feels like a big hug.
Yeah, so
from
that's
all the best parts of your life.
It's not unusual for people to feel that way about this episode, I don't think, from what I've read. And again, I haven't really read any criticisms, so I don't like to not have criticisms because I want to discuss it from all angles, but I don't have any. So what about you? I feel like you feel the same.
Yeah, I do. I mean, this episode is really great. I love it for all the same reasons you do. The only reason that this isn't like my number 1 or number 2 is I don't think it's a great episode to show to new people. because it has got a lot of backstory mentioned in this episode. A lot of the stuff with Rodney and Cassandra getting, like, you know, talking about their first year together as man and wife. And obviously Raquel comes back. If you hadn't seen other episodes of Only Fools and Horses, you wouldn't have a clue about this stuff. So for that reason, it's number 3, but it's not, you know, a huge criticism or anything. It's just if it was a new person watching it. And I think this episode as well has a really interesting arc, because you almost feel like you're watching a completely different episode by the end of it than you were at the beginning of it. Like, so much happens, and you said it's because it's got so many different locations and different types of scenes. You really do go on quite a journey through this episode with all the characters and the camera. So yeah, it's and absolutely the feeling of nostalgia from the childhood thing. I mean, when we never went to Margate because we grew up in the Midlands, obviously. But this episode, I remember we always used to watch it before we'd go to Blackpool, because that was where we used to go for our seaside town outings, if you like. And I remember watching this the night before we go to Blackpool. We always watched the Jolly Boys outing because it has that feeling of nostalgia for, like, going to a theme park at the seaside and eating all the seaside food and, you know, everything like that. Absolutely. It's it's a magical episode, I would say.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go ahead and guess it's probably going to be a lot of people's number 1, but we'll see how many people have it at the number 1, because it could float around in your top 3 is probably my best guess, with a few other episodes that people might, like, have up very high. So
okay, so if there's nothing else, should we go ahead and start the episode breakdown?
So we open in a lovely familiar setting, down the market. Del flogging some crap down the market, to be specific. The scene was filmed...
Down the market.
No. You already ruined my flow.
Sorry.
This scene was filmed in the market/car park area of Ramsgate Greyhound Stadium. So it's a lovely, bright, sunny day, and the first thing we see is a long shot coming over in the top of the market stalls, and we can hear Del's sales patter. Now, it does say in the script that these boxes and the radio markings need to be made very distinctive so that we recognize the radio in later shots. So this is likely why Del holds it forward and the camera, like, zooms right in on it when he says that it's made in Albania. By the way, a shout out to our listeners in Albania, currently showing as 0.1% of our audience, but it's still on the list. Hello, Albania.
Hello.
So Del has quite a long spiel here, and when I looked in the script, it seems really long. It's a huge block of text, and it looks a little bit like David Jason is reading it off the back of the box. I don't know if you've noticed this, because it's so many words, but he still does a great job with all those abbreviations.
It's got multiple presets, synthesized tuners, digital scan, auto-reverse graphic equalizers. It's got MW, FM, VHF, LCD, RMS, B&Q and ICI, and it comes complete with 2. Not 1, 2, count of 1, 2, quadraphonic speakers.
Following this, he tries to close the sale and add a free Kylie Minogue LP. So this was the Kylie LP from 1988. Do you remember that we had this LP?
We had it. Yes, I did. I wrote it down in my notes that we had it.
Did you throw it off to the side and say, forget the Kylie Minogue LP?
No, but I remember loving I Should Be So Lucky, 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 Lucky on that LP.
Yeah, so we had that LP, and we were only just, I guess, old enough to have LPs when we were really little kids, because then it went to cassettes.
It wasn't my LP, it was Fran's, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Fran's LP, yeah. But yeah, we didn't have that many, but yeah, I mean, we did actually have this exact embarrassing Kylie Minogue LP.
We did. When I was younger, I loved it, so I couldn't understand why Del didn't sort of include it and why everyone turned away when he offered it for free. I thought it was great.
I didn't get that either when I was a kid. I get it now, but yeah.
No, still love a bit of Kylie, not gonna lie.
So the Kylie Minogue LP makes the crowd disperse, so he takes that back, throws it away. But it looks like he's lost the crowd. But then the camera pans over and we see Cassandra wandering through the market, and she comes across Albert leaning up the van and staring off. This scene gives us some great time context, because we learn that Cassandra and Rodney will be celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and that Cassandra is going for the promotion at the bank, and we know that Rodney is still working for Alan, and he's still going to work on his bike. And we also learn that Albert is the new lookout for Trotter's Independent Traders. Which does continue.
It was inevitable.
Into following episodes, doesn't it? Because he's in Rodney Come Home, he's the lookout too. And I actually really love how encouraging Albert is in the scene, the way that he talks to Cassandra, although he does spoil Dell's surprise for their anniversary gift. And maybe we learn why Rodney and Cassandra don't die in their own car explosion in the future, because luckily Cassandra already has a radio in her car. What if she hadn't?
Yeah, I know. All the people that Dell sold it to.
I know. It's best to pretend that that's not a thing, because otherwise... It's probably worth noting that it's considered a little bit of a timeline continuity error here, so I'm sure you're going to bring this up. But Rodney and Cassandra were married in January, and this is obviously not set in January in the UK. So I don't think we ever officially hear the date of the Beano, but we did say the date of the wedding. I think it was January 28th or something. It was on their wedding marriage certificate in Little Problems. So obviously this is not January. The Beano was filmed in May, and it mentions that it's on a bank holiday weekend. So I'm guessing that they were making it the late May bank holiday weekend.
Oh God, I can't keep track of when the bank holidays are in the UK. There's always a bank holiday. Well, they don't call it a bank holiday here. There's a public holiday on the 1st of May every year in Hong Kong.
In the UK, this, in my mind, is the late spring bank holiday, which is the last weekend of May. But it could also be the end of the summer bank holiday, I suppose. They just don't ever say, I don't think, whether it's May or August.
They don't say when it is at all. That I wrote that down as one of my notes in
Yeah.
a later scene. What time of year is this supposed to be? I did write that.
But it has to be one of those two, end of May or end of August, because there's the only two bank holiday weekends in the spring, summer.
Although Del does say it's brass monkeys outside
Yeah.
in one of the later scenes, so it could be like, I know it's cold all year round in the UK, but I mean it could be like, if it's really cold, it could be a later one or an earlier one.
I'm guessing because of the fact that it's cold at night that it's meant to be May, because it's still kind of chilly at night in May. It could also be chilly in August at night, but it's more likely to be cold. But it's by the seaside, so it's always cold at night. But yeah, all I'm saying is that it's not their 1-year anniversary because they didn't get married in the spring or the summer. They got married in the winter. A lot of people have pointed that out, but it doesn't matter. It's just something to mention, as I'm acknowledging that isn't accurate, but it doesn't matter. It's just considered a general continuity error.
Yeah.
So just as Albert is lunging into his war story, Del cuts him off with a great line.
What is your game? You're supposed to be on lookout. I haven't seen you look at anything. The entire mass bands of the Metropolitan Police Force could march through here playing I Shot the Sheriff, and you wouldn't see it.
So here, Cassandra tries to exit, and we see that Del and Albert think they are coming to tomorrow night's anniversary dinner. Now, clearly Cassandra is not comfortable with this, and in her defense here, she does try to discourage them from coming and pushes that the dinner is more of a business dinner. And Del and Albert, I think, are both very sweet here. I don't think they have any ill intent. They just want to be supportive family members.
No, you don't have to worry about us. This is your night, and we don't want to let you down. You're family now, right?
Yeah. 8 o'clock, okay?
Yeah, I think that Del thinks that he's probably helpful to come to a business dinner, which is interesting. But actually, I did have something I want to say about that line in particular from my notes, is that it seems like a weird thing to say to her after they've already been married a year. Your family now. Like, if that was like a couple of months after they got married, he said that, fair enough. But she's been family now for a year already. So it just seems like a weird thing to say.
Obviously, we haven't had an episode since the wedding, so there's going to be a lot of re-establishing in this episode that needs to happen from a writer's point of view. You can't just assume everything that has been said in the last year because they've been married a year. That's just a tactic to re-establish that Cassandra is married to Rodney now, so we have a different viewpoint of her from an audience member. Yes, of course, Del would have said that to her at least one time in the last 12 months.
He could have just said your family.
Yeah, but he's, like I'm saying, it's from the writer's point of view. John Sullivan wrote this to be aired later, like the end of the year after the wedding was aired a year later. So he needs to reestablish that in the audience's eyes.
Yeah, I think that was something that I've written for pretty much every single scene, that it doesn't feel like this is a year after Little Problems. It feels like it's a couple of weeks after Little Problems.
I don't think so, because Rodney and Cassandra's marriage is already kind of gone a little bit darker in like their vibes with each other. So I don't think that could possibly be a few weeks after the happiness at the end of Little Problem.
I don't know. I feel like that problem was already there before they got married, that Rodney was resentful about Cassandra being more successful than him.
Yeah, but we never saw any evidence of it. So it wouldn't come about in a few weeks after the marriage. This is clearly soured over the course of a year.
I guess that's a experience-based comment based on relationships. My relationships can certainly sour that quickly.
It would be pretty bleak times if they got back from their honeymoon and this was already the state of their marriage after 3 weeks. It's possible that if this were August, like late summer, that year they got married in the January, but this is their 1 year anniversary, so yeah. Anyway, then we get the arrival of Marlene pushing a baby pram and dressed in a very classic Marlene dress. Cassandra is very excited to take a look at the baby and she asks his name.
We called him Tyler.
Tyler. Nice.
Of course, if it had been a girl, they would have called it Ruth. Then it'd be known as Ruth Tyler. No, it's only... What's up with you two?
So Marlene steps over to greet Albert and he tries again to retell his story about the Greek herring trawler, but Marlene just like affectionately cuts him off. Perfect setup for Albert to tell his story to baby Tyler. And Marlene goes
He's
back...
dressed as a sailor.
Yeah, little sailor Tyler. Marlene goes back over and tells Tyler to shut up, but Albert grabs the pram.
Kiss him here. Kiss him here. I'm a natural with kids.
So after Cassandra leaves, we get this conversation between Del and Marlene, which I think is absolutely lovely because it's just like the end of Little Problems, but 1 year later. And I'm sure that John Sullivan was very keen to make sure that Marlene would appear in this very bloke-heavy episode.
Yeah.
And this was the perfect way to do it, in my opinion. Firstly, Marlene introduces us to the concept of the whole episode by mentioning the Beano. And Del gives us the details, including the name.
Boise's just told me you lot are off on a Beano to Margate.
Oh, what a jolly boys outing. Yeah, well, we go every couple of years. I organise it.
Marlene is concerned that Boise will play away, which is very in character.
For both of them.
Yeah, I was going to say they hint that both of them do, so I'm not saying it's just Boise. Like, we know Boise.
Oh, no, I meant in very in character for Marlene to be worried about it and for Boise to do it. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but it's implied all the time that Marlene has as well.
Yeah.
So, because Tyler doesn't really...
Marlene's a big flirt, I think, but Boise actually... Well, we haven't actually had a specific mention of Boise's bit on the side since Dates, but yeah, we've had at least 2 occasions where it's clarified that Boise has had affairs.
In the past, yeah, but I feel like after Marlene has Tyler, he's a lot more serious, I don't know, about the family. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Tyler cost a baby grand.
Yeah, Tyler's expensive. And all of his little outfits and stuff. So next there is a conversation where Del is pretty much bragging about how wonderful and successful Rodney has become. Even though we find out later that it's not all as good as Del is.
Shit.
There's either making out that it's better than it is, or Del doesn't know how weak. Yeah.
I think Del's natural inclination is to talk about Rodney in this very proud father way, though, isn't it? I mean, he's clearly, as you said, continuing on from Little Problems. He's very proud of everything he thinks Rodney has accomplished. So it makes sense that he's very proud of him, even if he's not as good as Del says.
I think Del really does think that Rodney is excellent with computers because Del isn't, so he wouldn't know any better. But he thinks that Rodney actually is in charge of the entire computer section, the whole thing. Like, I don't think that he thinks he's fucking up a lot like he actually is. But
no.
Yeah. I think it's funny that Marlene is really surprised that Rodney still has the job and that he's in charge, and she thinks he's still a trainee after a whole year. So it goes to show that Marlene doesn't think very highly of Rodney's abilities, I don't think.
What, he managed to keep that job?
Although he doesn't keep it for much longer, but that's a future storyline. So Albert is now thrilled. We cut back and he's got the full attention of baby Tyler as he's telling his war story. So this story actually does come full circle and become a joke for later. We don't know that at the time. So, but yeah, he's telling the story about the Greek
fishing trawler.
Yeah. And this comes back when he's talking to Sid later in the halfway house. But yeah. Albert basically saying is he was steering the Greek herring trawler in the dark of night and a German torpedo boat came out of the darkness and he used the Greek herring trawler to stop the boat and he won a medal for his troubles. It's funny that when it cuts back to little Tyler, he's fast asleep.
Yes.
But just remember the story for later. So I put a little note here that Albert uses the term Jerry here for the German boat, which was definitely what they used to describe the Germans during the war. So these kind of like references and stuff, if your modern day audience might not know that, but yeah, I popped that in just in case. It's just like in the Forrest Gump when they call the enemy Charlie. It was a very common thing to do in the war.
Yeah.
So I'm going to end this here and ask for your notes because the last line takes us into the next scene, which is one of our favorite things, the contradiction cut. So yeah, we'll talk about that in the next scene. So what notes do you have for this little part in the market?
First of all, the market looks so much bigger than previously seen, I thought, probably because they used a different market. And this market has houses around it and gardens. So that made it look like a more upmarket market as well. I remember one of my friends had something that looked a lot like the radios that Dell is selling. I can't remember which friend it was, but I remember getting in their car once and the radio they had in the car had like the big yellow dials on it and the black background. And I was like, oh, Dell's radio. But this was when I was a kid. But I just thought that was interesting. As you said, they did try to mimic real radios, right? Like knockoff versions of real radios. So that's maybe why I saw something similar.
Yeah, and this does look very 80s, like late 80s technology. So it's not that it wouldn't have been a realistic looking thing with all those like words on it that people didn't understand. Everyone was just very impressed by it being like new technology, I guess.
Yeah, true. So I can't understand why Cassandra is in the market on her lunch.
I mean, she's just having a wandering round.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but I would have thought like where she works at the bank like would be sort of a business district area that has sort of those more upmarket places around it. I mean, again, probably because I live in Hong Kong, I think like this, but it just seems weird for her to go down to the market in her lunch, I would have thought, because she's only got 1 hour for her lunch. So I would have thought that she'd have wanted to sit down and relax because, you know, her job is quite high pressure.
I don't know. I used to work right opposite a market and there was a bank right there. NatWest, where you step out. No, not NatWest. Where you step right out of NatWest into the market square in Lichfield. It's right there. I don't think it's unbelievable at all that if you've got an hour for your lunch.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I think like the market is more separate from like sort of the business area, but maybe you're right. It's probably just because I live in Hong Kong. It completely distorts where the layout of everything is.
And banks are a retail thing. They would be right there on the high street. I feel like walking around the market on your lunch is a very common thing to do in England.
Yeah, maybe. But usually eating your lunch, I would have thought. But anyway, so Cassandra is up for a promotion, and this is where the first part of the resentment is mentioned in the episode. We haven't seen Rodney's reaction, but the fact that Cassandra's up for a promotion is already setting it up. And I already mentioned that they've been together 1 year, but I just put, I'm guessing the first year went fine because it seems like nothing really changed in that first year, like for everybody. And I would want Del at my party to liven things up. If I was throwing a party, I definitely want Del there.
Not a business dinner.
I wouldn't want Stephen there. Ugh. I said Marlene got her figure back pretty quickly after her giving birth.
Not every woman has like any changes after they
I know. She's wearing the same dress that she was wearing in Sickness and Wealth or something very similar, and she's got this tiny little waist. I also wondered, like, again, timeline-wise, continuity-wise, Marlene got pregnant in Sickness and Wealth, which was before Cassandra and Rodney got married. We don't know how long before they got married because it's announced in Sickness and Wealth. And how long ago was she meant to have had Tyler? Like, Tyler would be, 6 months old? 4 months old?
This fits perfectly because she's got like a baby bump and little problems, which means she would have been about 5-6 months pregnant. So the baby would have come a few months after, and now the baby is less than a year old. Yeah, it makes sense.
Right, okay, yeah, I'm just checking.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, her figure, I don't know, good for her. She got it back that quickly. I also, just at the end of the scene, when Albert says,
One day, if you're lucky, you might win one of these. But then again, hopefully not.
About Tyler getting the medal, I always think that's quite like a meaningful thing for him to say, because he's saying that he hopes Tyler will never have to fight in a war, right?
Well, yeah, kind of. I always thought that too. I feel like it seems like it's just part of the joke, but yeah, he doesn't want him to go through the hardships he went through, is the way I read it. Which is sad, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really lovely thing about Albert's character, because he always goes on about the war, but I guess something that people who've been in wars, and I cannot speak for this because I've been lucky enough to never be in a war where my actual country that I'm living in is being attacked. But I guess, yeah, even though you have all these stories and you want to tell people about it, you would never want sort of the younger generation to go through what you went through. And I just think that's a really lovely moment from Albert at the end of that scene. That's all I had.
Oh, okay. Great. So, as I was saying, the last line of the scene cuts in, so we'll just pop this in here.
Now, what you've got to understand, Marlene, is that Rodney's in charge of the whole computer section, the entire thing.
I don't know where that firm would be without Rodney.
Shit! It's the second time I've done that today.
So we've cut to Rodney in his office, and the description of Rodney's office in the script is as follows. The office is in fact a 10 by 10 foot room which has been partitioned off by perspex from a large workshop. Outside the office, we can see printing machines and people with protective clothing working them. There are a couple of computers and consoles and 1 or 2 computer printers. As Rodney's in charge of this area, the place is quite messy. Paper everywhere. We find Rodney, tie loosened and sleeves rolled up, looking harassed. So here we do have Rodney, and we see Alan coming through the workshop, approaching, and he looks very smart and in charge and pretty chill. He comes in to check on Rodney, and we see that he is his lovely, supportive self, usually. Rodney is kind of blagging his way through. You can sort of see the way that he's like, shouldn't be long, Alan. Alan is just so nice. He's like, oh, be careful.
He's so nice.
He's just so nice, yeah. He's the perfect boss and a great father-in-law. And then he brings up the anniversary dinner. And this leads them into a conversation about the fact that Cassandra has invited a couple of people along from the bank.
I really am looking forward to your anniversary dinner.
Yeah, well, so was I, till I found out she's invited that Stephen and Joanne.
Oh, no, you've got to be fair, son. You know, Stephen is the assistant head of the bank's overseas investment bureau. He's Cassie's boss. She's applied for promotion, so she's got to stay on his good side.
Oh, no, but he's such a yuppie. It's all that, oh, yeah, for sure, and all that, OK, can I just run this past you? Prat.
One thing I really like about this is that it seems Rodney can completely be himself and be honest about his feelings about Stephen with Alan.
Yeah.
So it's not that he has to hide how he feels with Alan, which is really nice. Alan is, like we've discussed before, a great bridge between the posh kind of side of Cassandra's family and her mom, and maybe Cassandra's more snobby views, which we didn't really see much of in Series 6, but we do see that when she's trying to go for a promotion, she's a little bit more prim and proper and not her more dry kind of fun self that she was in Series 6. And then you've got Alan, the bridging that gap between Dell and, Alan is a very down-to-earth former market trader or whatever he was. He lived on the estate, so he wasn't, it's not snobby. He doesn't have a snobby background. So I love to see how he can be honest. And I think that there's a great setup here for the next scene because they get to discuss what we can expect to see from the dinner. Stephen pretty much says everything in the next scene that Rodney impersonates here. So
yes, I like that.
After you see this scene, it follows on all the way to the very end of the episode with the run this past you thing. So Rodney understands Alan's perspective, but then as Alan is leaving, he remembers with horror that he invited Dell and Albert to the dinner. And Alan says,
well, I don't suppose she'd have been very happy in her new job anyway.
So this is all just painting the picture for the next scene, I think. To be honest, that's why this scene is here. But it is kind of cool to see that we get to see Rodney in his role at the factory, which we see a little bit more of, especially in Rodney Come Home, but throughout Series 7. So a bit of setup for that. There is a weird, interesting little cameo here at the end of the scene from Jake Wood, who went on to become a very recognisable face on British TV.
EastEnders.
He's been a main character in EastEnders as Max Branning since 1990. And he's one of those actors who has had so many credits to his name that it's impossible to list them all.
Excuse me, sir. Oh. This is just all that data you had on your screen. So I'm well on that.
Well, of course it is. They don't know they're born, do they?
So it's just a nice little example here at the end of this scene that Rodney is pretty much floundering in his job and his trainee. You get to see his trainee, but yeah, it's kind of cool. So yeah, any notes on that little scene before we cut to the anniversary dinner?
Yeah, not many. I just said it feels like it's Rodney's first day, but he must have been there at least sort of 8 or 9 months by this point. So it's quite funny to see that he's still this crap after all that time.
I mean, he's been there a year, right? Because he started 2 weeks after the honeymoon. He started, so
right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So sorry, he's been there 12 months then actually. Yeah, nearly. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. I said I like the establishment of the yuppie phrases because this is something that was done in Yuppie Love as well, but it's sort of expanded on here, which I really like. And as you said, Stephen says all these in the next scene, which is great. And I think it's really interesting to see Rodney finally given some authority, because I don't think we ever see him with any authority in any scene yet. And I know that he doesn't feel comfortable with it though, because as soon as that guy says, "Excuse me, sir," And he looks behind him. Like he's clearly not comfortable with this position of authority because he doubts himself. This is a big part of Rodney's character arc, right? In all of this series from now on, is that he wants to be better, but he doesn't believe he can be. And he's constantly comparing himself to Cassandra and everyone else's successes. And he never really has that confidence in his own abilities, even though he is capable. So yeah, I just read an awful lot from that one moment, but even so, it's kind of, it's emphasized a lot throughout the series.
Yeah, and having this scene in here really does help to explain a little bit more about the Cassandra and Rodney dynamics that we see throughout this episode, because if we had had a scene where Rodney had been the big boss man and all confident and showing how powerful he was at work, it wouldn't make any sense that he's so threatened by Cassandra's success. So we see insight here into the fact that he got given this job because he's family and he's not really doing very well. Like the first thing we see is he deletes all of his data. So shit. So yeah, I think honestly it's important, although this scene is small, it's a very important for the plot.
Yeah, agreed. But that's all I had.
Yeah, so then we move on to a pretty famous little segment of this episode, which is the anniversary dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And the scene starts close up on the Trivial Pursuit board. And we zoom out to see Albert is just playing by himself and reading all the answers, which I think is really funny.
Which is what I used to do, because I certainly couldn't answer any of them.
Yeah, you were revising for the game. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, everybody else is around the big long dining table. So this is the first scene inside Rodney and Cassandra's flat. This would be the flat that they needed to raise that $6,000 for in the last episode. Little problems. So the description from the script is, I added this in here. It is a recently built flat and the decor furnishing is modern and tasteful. On one wall and in amongst all the modern works of art is a print of Bubbles, the little boy, blowing bubbles in a rather crappy, ornate gold frame. So we find this out later is supposed to be Dell's anniversary gift to them. They didn't actually say this, though, in the script anyway.
No.
It just says it in the script. Because I'll go all the way to the end of the episode now when Rodney comes in and that same print is on the sofa and he smiles when he looks at it.
Oh.
I guess the gist of this was in the script that Dell bought them that. It didn't fit the decor, and at the end he sees that Cassandra's taken it down and he smiles. I never got this.
Wow, I never noticed that either.
Yeah. So this was supposed to be a gift from Dell that they didn't like and they took it down later. So he didn't just get them the car radio. So continuing, the dining table is a 6-seater. So we should have another 2 non-matching dining chairs in evidence to show that they had to make up the numbers. I don't think that's made very clear either. So
no, they're all sitting on them, aren't they? So you can't really see.
Yeah, it kind of looks like there's plenty of room for everyone. I used to think that it was fine. I didn't realize they kind of crammed in Dell and Albert
No,
because
I didn't either.
Yeah, and Albert isn't even sitting at the table at this scene, so I don't think it seems too crowded. So I'm going to paraphrase the rest because there's a massive chunk of descriptive text here in the script that describes how everybody feels towards Stephen. So it's quite... also, it says how everybody's dressed. So just sums up that everybody is smart but casual, except for Dell and Albert, who are both done up to the nines in their best gear.
Yeah.
It says that Dell has his cigar holder and his Filofax out on the table, and that Albert is wearing all of his medals. And it mentions that Pam is also slightly overdressed, which would fit for her character. So
yeah.
The description of Stephen from the script says, he is in his early 30s and good looking. He is a 24-karat gold blend yuppie, although he hates being called that. He is ultra-confident, verging on the smug, and has an irritating habit of virtually ignoring those he considers beneath them. And this naturally includes Dell and Albert. And his conversation is littered with the modern American cliches and jargon from the financial world. And Joanne is in her 20s and another yuppie. That's all it says about Joanne.
So basically, she's a clone of Stephen.
She is, yeah. I feel like, oh yeah,
she is.
For real. She's just such a clone of Stephen, yeah. Here's a little note on the actors. So Stephen was played by actor Daniel Hill, now another actor with a massive credit list on IMDb. I don't know where to begin, but perhaps most notably known for No Place Like Home, Waiting for God, and Doctors. But he was also in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 in a small role, along with loads of Only Fools and Horses actors that ended up being small roles in Harry Potter, so that's quite funny. Here, I believe he plays a very memorable cameo part here in this episode.
Yes.
So, yeah, and he plays it really well. Everybody remembers Stephen, so... Joanne was played by actress Gail Harrison, who was in 41 episodes of Emmerdale Farm between 1972 and 1978 as the character Marion Wilkes. And she was also in 32 episodes of a show called Brass between 1983 and 1990. So maybe back in those days people would recognize her, but for some reason there's absolutely nothing on her after 1998, and there's no Wikipedia page or anything, so I don't know where she is. She's like
She probably
vanished.
quit acting. A lot of people do that. They just disappear. If they quit acting, they want their privacy back. Usually, that's why they quit. So
Yeah,
makes sense.
And are you able to control whether you have a Wikipedia page made on you?
I think you probably, if someone puts something up on Wikipedia about you, there probably is a way to like petition to get it taken down from Wiki. But I don't know, because anyone can create Wikipedia pages. So
Yeah.
if someone cared enough to sort of hound you after you got it taken down and keep putting it back up, I suppose there's nothing you could do about it.
I mean, I do appreciate the fact that not everything on Wikipedia is true, because I know there's a lot of things. I know you're mostly supposed to quote your sources. She still has a IMDb page that shows all of her acting history, but I just wanted to see if there was a reason why she vanished. Like you said, she probably just quit acting, but I couldn't find anything on her other than the IMDb listing of her roles. So yeah, I don't know where she is now, but yeah, good luck to her wherever she is.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing she's probably not that recognizable from the show anymore, so hopefully she got the privacy that she needs. But so anyway, back to the scene. So the scene begins with Stephen being a total yuppie and monopolizing the entire conversation, clearly loving the attention from the whole table. And Del is giving him exactly what he wants here. He doesn't want it from Del, but Del's giving him. So Del is playing the yuppie role here and oblivious to Stephen not liking it. And it's just so funny. We see Rodney is quiet and he's at the far end of the table. Stephen is right next to Cassandra and inappropriately puts his hand on her shoulder when describing her as one of the two main ladies in his life alongside his wife. Although he's just like, Joanne and Cassie.
I know. Well, this is what I said. I said Rodney's anger and hatred and jealousy towards Stephen is absolutely justified. I'd have punched Stephen in the face as well.
To be honest, I know we see that he's angry later, but when he does this Cassie thing, Rodney just looks down. He looks really sad and hurt. Yeah. And I have to think that it was a deliberate move to put them far away. And I don't know if you've noticed this. Yeah. It's throughout the entire scene. There is no contact between them. They are never closer than the length of the whole table. They don't sit side by side, and they barely communicate. And having Stephen constantly right next to Cassandra is like a trick to make Rodney feel very sad, I think. And it just it makes him look just very distant. And having Alan next to him again shows Alan's position in the family, which I think, so the whole seating of the table is pretty clever. Yeah. So here we get a classic moment where Stephen begins to say,
recently Joanne and I spent a little time down in Afrique-sur-Mer.
Fabrique Belgique.
So this is the first of a few double takes that Stephen does, and I think Stephen does them so well that he carries on with the conversation as if he has no idea what Del has said, and then he stops and just looks. And later he's like, what? It's just the way that he does it. It's like he doesn't want to disturb his flow, but then with Del, he has to like register a few seconds later and be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are you talking about? So it shows that he doesn't really listen to people. Not in the moment, but then he kind of processes it a few seconds later, and then he's like, what?
Oh, yeah. He's not just sort of a yuppie. He's arrogant.
Yeah.
So arrogant. Yeah.
So Fabrique Belgique, I guess, means Belgian factory. Is my best way to look at it. It is funny that he's like, this is it. And then he's like, what?
Take the banana crop alone. We are into mega growth.
Well, you can't go wrong, Stephen. The bigger the banana, the better.
For sure. And statistically, we are talking... What?
So we actually have a few interesting ways here that each member of the dinner party reacts to Del. So Stephen is just baffled and shocked and doesn't hide it. Alan tries to be tactful and polite. Cassandra and Joanne just keep trying to change the subject, as women often do when we feel uncomfortable. Yes. And Del brings up Rodney's GCSEs. It says in the script here that Cassandra is trying to change the subject with the drink offers. So this is just a way of stopping Del trying to project Rodney, I guess.
Oh my God, it's a royal flush.
No, it's not a royal flush. No. It's not a royal flush.
I'm sorry, it's in my contract that I have to mention a royal flush every single episode.
Oh, well, you'll get your payout now. I think that you can see embarrassment as well when Del and Albert laugh at Rodney when they mention...
Roddy?
Roddy? Roddy? Wait, Albert, yeah, he calls him Roddy, look.
So that's a bit like the Little Problems moment when I would appreciate it if the guests would conduct themselves in a manner.
Well, be coming to the occasion.
Yeah. But there's always that contrast because of Cassandra's like upbringing and her family, that you've got Rodney's kind of fun family and then you've got the prim and proper approach.
Yeah, exactly. Who wants to hang around with prim and proper when you can hang around with Del and Albert?
Yeah, and you can't have a laugh, it seems, without people worrying that it's inappropriate or whatever. Like, oh, that is not fun.
No, agreed.
So speaking of that, Pam is back. And again, we see that Cassandra's more upper class side of her personality comes from Pam. And Pam is very fond of Stephen. So she puts her hand on his shoulder as she says his name, as if he's her son.
Or she wants him to be her son-in-law. Another thing rubbing it in Rodney's face.
Exactly. And another Alan and Rodney being at the end of the table far away moment is kind of highlighted here because it cuts back and forth. He's physically and emotionally isolated. Poor Alan tries to order himself a nice scotch, but he's given a death stare. I'll just have a small port. He's not allowed to have any fun.
No.
I feel like this is channeling a relationship that maybe John Sullivan saw in real life.
Well, I have a note for later in the scene, but I can say it now. It seems to me that this scene goes out of its way to show that being married sucks. And being free and single like Del and Albert is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow that trope that a lot of shows do, you know, it's like Cassandra was fun until they got married. Now, we noted that Rodney didn't often order that much alcohol when he was dating Cassandra in the early days.
Yeah.
We don't really know why that is. Maybe he was trying to show that he didn't drink much, or maybe he genuinely didn't want to drink that much at the time. You do tend to want to drink more as life gets harder, so it's quite possible that he just wanted to drink more because of the emotional upheaval of being married and everything.
It's quite interesting, though, because I actually drink a lot less now than I used to when I was younger, and I'm not married.
I think
maybe there is a study that should be done.
I think that it's in this show, the culture is you drink for fun, right? It's very much shows that Del drinks throughout his entire life, and you get this same thing. I've got notes about this later, so I might end up hitting these same notes that I get to later, but there's all of this stuff later that comes with Raquel where she's like, Del didn't want to change with fatherhood. He just wants to go down the pub with his mates forever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, do you have to stop going down the pub with your mates when you get married? Do you have to stop having fun?
A lot of people would say yes, because the money that you spend doing that could be spent on your family.
Yeah, but do you have to stop full 100%? Like, do you have to? Like,
well, no, but then Del does go a lot, so it kind of makes sense that she's mad.
I'm not really asking if you have to. I'm just saying, is that what we're trying to say with this show? That like, are they fun? Like, until they get married, and then that's it. The woman has a 180-degree turn and becomes a woman that doesn't allow you to have any fun. That's what it always seems like this show is trying to imply.
It does always seem like that. Yeah, that's true. Sybil Fawlty is also portrayed that way.
Yes. And I don't believe this was true in the 70s and 80s, but that's how it always comes across in TV shows written by men. So is it a thing?
And the Carry On films, actually, come to think of it, always show the wife as the shrew.
They were all written by men. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, again, are we saying that this is just a way? Is it maybe men think this is funny subject matter, or is it what they actually think happens? Or, like, because I think we've had comments before in our comments where they've said this is actually true. So, yes, that's why it was written this way.
Well, yeah, I mean, if this is John Sullivan's experience or his friend's experience, it makes sense that he wrote it this way. I mean, if you're a writer, you write what you know, right? That's like the golden rule for writing. So, yeah, I mean, if John Sullivan did experience that, it makes sense that that's put in. And it is funny. I mean, you can't deny the hilarity of someone always being like, you're going, what are you doing? Like, all this, like, you know, later in the scene, it's very funny. So, you know, it's, I mean, it's fine whether it was a man doing it or a woman doing it. I think it's very funny to sort of have that sort of person nipping at your heels, as long as it's taken in a light-hearted way. I think
just to go back to what you said before, because I said written by men, Fawlty Towers, this is like a known fact because Connie Booth was one of the writers. That's why the female characters in Fawlty Towers are not written that way entirely. Like Polly is not like that because Connie Booth was able to say to John Cleese, a woman wouldn't say that. There was no woman writing on Only Fools and Horses, as we know. And I love John Sullivan, don't get me wrong, and I know a lot of this is just done for fun. but I wonder if some of it is either his own experience or things he saw happen to his mates.
Well, I do think as well, to sort of balance it a little bit from Del's point of view, I'm just thinking like Rodney and Del, actually, they do things. Del and Rodney do things that justifiably make Cassandra and Raquel pissed off.
Yes.
Anyone will be pissed off than the way that they behave. So it's like, I don't think I think it's lazy writing or stereotypical writing if you do it where the woman's just always angry just to be angry.
Yeah, for no reason.
And I think I can't think of any examples of TV shows that I watch where that is the case. I think, talking about Fawlty Towers, Sybil Fawlty has every right to be pissed off with Basil because he's such a fuck up. So like I think
fancy putting no riffraff.
I think when you look at it that way, and obviously in Fatal Extraction where this is explored in Del's relationship, he literally comes in, like stays out all night, and comes in like, of course she walks out. Like, who wouldn't walk out? A man would walk out. If the woman did that, it's the same. So I think it's justifiable. It's just that maybe the problem is that we don't really get to see another side of the female characters as Only Fools goes on, because the only time they're ever really in the episodes is when they're having that sort of conflict with Del and Rodney, a marital conflict. So that's probably why it looks like that. But if there were more scenes, like, let's say, of Cassandra and Raquel hanging out and talking about their relationships, then we'd probably see a lot more fun, of sides of them. But we don't, because there isn't time, frankly. And everyone's here to see Del and Rodney, so...
Yeah, it's true. And just 2 follow-up points on that is that we only see this little insight into Cassandra and Rodney's marriage 1 year later, and we don't have any idea why there seems to be this distance other than the fact that Cassandra is trying to change her personality to fit with her new status at the bank, right?
Yeah.
We don't see that Rodney's done anything wrong. As far as we know, Rodney's been working hard all year and he hasn't been going out and partying. Even later, he says that he hasn't seen much of Del or visited his mom. So it kind of seems like he is doing everything he's supposed to.
Yeah, he's trying to be a good husband.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know what the problem is. And then just to go off the back of what you just said, Miami Twice Part 1 has Raquel kind of a bit different in that she's sort of laughing along with how silly Del is.
Yes.
And kind of has this like look on her face as if this is just typically him. So we do get that. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
Pick the bones out of that, darling.
Yeah.
She finds that funny. She doesn't get mad and she winds Del up from it. Yeah, totally.
So I don't know why that she's different in that episode, but I guess we'll come to that when we get to that episode. But anyway, back to the table. So Alan tried to order a scotch. He couldn't get it. So then Del is trying to bond with Stephen over baseball, and Rodney calls him out here and says that he doesn't like it and calls it silly boys rounders. I don't really like that Rodney does this. I think this is kind of rude of him, but I know he's doing it as his own way of insulting Stephen without having to say it.
Yeah, exactly.
himself.
He's insulting Stephen via Del, and he's using Del as the way to do it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's understandable because he has to sit there and be nice to this guy that he absolutely loathes. So I would probably do the same. I'd try and find a way to get something in there that was like, I didn't say it, Del said it.
Yeah, but it's a bit mean towards Del, but I think Del can handle it, so that's fine.
Oh yeah, Del's fine.
But this leads us into a pretty famous moment in the scene.
How do you mean? Guys like me and Stephen.
Oh, yuppies.
Derek, I am not a yuppie.
You are, Stephen. You are, guaranteed.
No.
I can't take it from me, son. You are.
So I love how Rodney and Alan are smiling at this. And laughing in the background. Yeah. It does take us back to Yuppie Love, where Del tried to do the same thing to Rodney, and Rodney was like, I am not a yuppie.
Not a yuppie. And but Rodney really isn't a yuppie.
No, he's
Stephen
not.
is.
But Del responds in the same way exactly in both scenes, that he's like, no, trust me, you are, as if it's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
And the person is only denying it because they feel like humble or whatever. It's just funny. He still thinks, that this is a massive compliment.
Although notice he doesn't offer to help Stephen become a better yuppie like he does Rodney. With a little help from me.
Stephen needs no help at all.
No, I was going to say Stephen could run a course on how to be a yuppie.
Exactly, yeah. So Stephen uses this moment to jump out of his seat, get the hell away from the table, and start the game of Trivial Pursuit.
I love how yuppie he is in the way he even says that line.
OK, well, are you going to give me the chance to wipe the floor with your Trivial Pursuit or not?
Oh, yeah, brill.
So the setup here is hilarious because we see that Alan and Rodney are actually trying to coax Del into not playing because they're concerned that his general knowledge might not be strong enough.
I'd want him to play all the more.
But he actually thinks that they're worried about their own abilities. It's just quite a funny twist on it. So here it is. Here we have the first during the war. And it's actually Del that says it first, doing an imitation, and then as if it's already Albert's catchphrase, which it's not.
I know.
So here it is.
During the war.
During the war.
I know, it's absolutely insane to think that we got through 4, 5, and 6 and we hadn't heard it yet, and it's only at the very end of series 6 that this is said for the first time. Yeah. And this is such a famous, this is like Albert's thing, and he, for the first 3 series he was in it, he didn't say it.
Yeah, and I never would have known that before we started doing the podcast. If you'd asked me, I'd have been like, yeah, like series 4, Albert comes into it, he has this catchphrase.
Yeah.
I never noticed that he didn't say it until this episode, so
no.
Let us know if that's the case for you as well. Maybe you always knew that Jolly Boy's Outing had it for the first time, but no, we did not.
No.
So anyway, this all came about because Albert is asking Stephen and Joanne about their trip to Africa. And this is quite a funny little bit here from Stephen. He's describing imagery from their trip, which hilariously leads Del into bringing up the Jolly Boys Outing.
Misty, sleepy dawn rises to reveal Kilimanjaro in all its hypnotic majesty.
Sounds great.
We're all going on a Beano to Margate next Saturday.
So did you ever notice the line, do you want to come? Because I feel like it's totally drowned out by laughter.
Well, I know that they invite him because
he says
obviously
no,
Stephen turns down the invite. So yeah, I mean, I can't think if I actually heard the line, but yeah, I know that he gets invited because he says, oh no, I'm Joanna and I always spend bank holidays together. So
yeah, so this, I don't think any official evidence of it, but this scene must not have been filmed in front of a live studio audience. Again, for the reason that there's a ton of laughter drowning out lines moments in this scene. Yeah, so this is completely drowned out. Like you say, you can hear Stephen go, me? Oh, no. But like you don't hear Del say, do you want to come to the Beano?
No, true.
But why did he invite Stephen? I know he's trying to bond with yuppie Stephen, but Stephen on the Jolly Boys Outing.
I think Del would probably just be trying to help Cassandra again. He thinks that he's someone that people would like because normal people should like someone like Del. And he wants to, help Cassandra's career by bringing Stephen along. And, obviously Del's the kind of yuppie that can be a regular guy, whereas Stephen is like full yuppie and cannot be a regular guy.
I think it would have been really funny to see an alternative reality Jolly Boys Outing where Stephen did go.
To be honest, Stephen would have been bullied to fuck by all the others.
I could see him getting like all sick at the theme park and everything, and everyone like making fun of him.
Oh, he wouldn't have gone on anything. He's that kind of person. He would not have engaged in the fun. When they were all running into the ocean, he would have been standing like on the pier, like watching them from a distance. He probably would have just walked off on his own.
Yeah, obviously a Beano is not for Stephen, but.
No.
So this is the part, actually, where you see the first crack. You actually see Rodney and Cassandra's marriage crack here. Mm-hmm. Because of the way that Cassandra turns to Rodney. Because, Stephen says he wouldn't know anybody, and Del's like, oh, yeah, Rodney's going.
You're going?
Yeah. Well, it's tradition, It's the Jolly Boys Outing.
The what?
It's the Jolly Boys Outing. We've been going on them for years.
You can't stop Rodney from going, darling. After all, it's only a day out and do him good.
Yeah. Anyway, your dad'll be there to keep an eye on him, won't you?
Well, don't mention it. I thought, a bit of sea air do me good.
You're going to get drunk, aren't you? Because I'm sick on jellied eels.
I'm not going to drink anything. I'm not going to eat. I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Yeah, let's discuss this a little bit now. So, yes. Why does she not want to go? What's with the tone of the what? We already did discuss this a little bit, but this is where it starts to go in this direction. So the way that she says the what, you can't imagine her saying that, can you, in like The Unlucky Winner Is, unless she's joking.
No.
She's not joking here. I feel like she's trying to act up a little bit in front of Stephen and Joanne probably, but you wouldn't really want to do this in front of your new boss, like show that your marriage is weird.
Well, maybe Stephen would appreciate this. He'd be like, yes, you tell him not to go on this dirty little outing with all these like lower class people.
Yeah, so maybe she's trying to show herself separate and above the idea of the Jolly Boys outing. Because again, you've got Rodney here sitting on the sofa between Alan and Del, not next to his wife. You've got Cassandra in the corner with Stephen next to her. Rodney seems like a little kid, when he goes, "It's the Jolly Boys outing," and Del's like, "The Jolly Boys outing."
Well, the whole sort of arc of Rodney in this episode is that Cassandra is apparently emasculating him and making him sort of under the thumb, that old classic saying, and then Del tells him to stop letting Cassandra treat him like that and stand up and be a man, which of course leads him to punch Stephen. So yeah, I mean, this has to be emphasized early on in the story for the rest of the story to work.
Yeah. But if you watch Chain Gang and then you watch this, look at the difference between Cassandra's character. You had Rodney upset that she was going...
Oh, yeah, she's a different character already.
To Guernsey. And then, she was like, oh, really? Like joking about the orgy. And then now you've got her not wanting him to go on a fun outing with his family. So, so basically we're establishing that things aren't going well in the marriage. That's all this is.
I guess if I had to play devil's advocate here, though, a little bit, this is a bank holiday, which presumably is like a rare chance for her and her husband to spend some time together because she's always working and he's always working. So... like, I'd assume that maybe she was a little bit pissed about that, if nothing else, that he didn't tell her that, he's not going to be there on the bank holiday that she assumed they were spending together, maybe.
Yeah, and then you've also got the interesting addition here of Pam and Alan's dynamic, where Alan says he's going, and then Pam's like, you're going? So she's possibly grown up with this and seeing that Alan trying to have fun and Pam putting her foot down, so it's probably pretty normal to... think that she has to do the same, like she has to stop her husband having fun. So we already talked about a lot of the things that I've written in my notes here, that a lot of the storylines are set up around the idea that the woman stops you having fun after you get married. And I think this is where we see this a little bit. We see Pam gets exactly the same way angry at Alan, and it is funny because Alan does go on the Jolly Boys outing, so Pam doesn't get her way, nor does Rodney. I mean, nor does Cassandra. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny that they don't want them to go.
Well, I feel like the reason that they also are able to go and put their foot down and say, no, we're going, is because they've got like Del and Albert there being like, yep, we're all going. Like, and Del pulling that face after they both get told off. It's like, I think this is helpful to their cause because they're all like in it together and they can stand up. If Rodney or Alan had told their wives when they were alone with them and no one else was there, they probably wouldn't have gone on the Jolly Boys outing because their wives would have been like, you're not going. And then they've been like, okay, fine, I'm sorry, So it's good that there was a group of them there.
So we've got Marlene in the first scene and now we've got Cassandra and Pam. So we've got 3 women who don't want their husbands to go. So it's like, it's setting it.
I do understand Marlene's reason a bit more though, to be honest.
I think I'd be happy if Boise wanted to go away for the whole day.
Yeah, true. If Boise left me, I think I'd be fine with it. Although saying that he's got a lot of money, so I'd want it to raise my kid.
Yeah, but just to sum up, a lot of people don't love the Cassandra and Rodney marriage problems in the next series, and this would be the first episode that everything just starts going downhill.
I don't like them either.
Yeah. So we're going to get a lot more into that in the future. So let's not worry about it right now. So Trivial Pursuit starts, and if you look in the corner of the screen just after this discussion's happened, Cassandra looks really bummed out. Or miserable, I should say. Stephen tries to claim the throne of rolling the highest number, but Rodney will not allow that. And
Was it me?
Yeah. No, Del did. So Del is the one who is going to go first. So
4. What do I do now? This me here? Oh, that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go.
Oh, S&N.
S&N. What's S&N?
Science and nature.
Do you remember when we were playing Trivial Pursuit a couple of years ago and we kept saying that every time someone got science and nature?
Yes,
Science
I do.
and nature.
Science and nature.
So this is one of Stephen's most favourite bits here, I guess you could argue.
Oh, God, it's so simple. What is a female swan called?
What is, female swan called?
You don't know?
Oh my God, I fucking hate people like this. Like, I am quite dumb, in general knowledge games. Like, you know this, dude, I'm quite dumb in general knowledge in general. And I really hate it when people try to make me feel bad because I don't know something. Like, if someone's looking at a question and they go, oh my God, this is like so easy before they've even asked you the question. I hate that because it's like they're setting it up for you to look really dumb. And that's exactly the sort of thing that someone like Stephen would do. So, yeah, it's a really mean way to do things. I would never do that to someone.
Yeah, I honestly admit that when I used to watch this as a kid, I used to feel really bad for Del because it's true. Like, whether somebody does or doesn't know general knowledge can be quite different depending on where they were educated, what kind of things they are interested in. Like, and
in our case, what year they were born, because a lot of the stuff we haven't got in Only Fools and Horses is because we weren't born or we weren't old enough to know at the time.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just your interest. You don't encounter certain types of music or a certain movie, and some people will like bash you for having not known something that is just something you've just never come across. And that's the thing about IQs and stuff. It's like a lot of it's not really to do with general knowledge. So like a lot of it's more to do with the way that your brain solves problems. You just might not know
and your interests.
Yeah, you might not know a fact like this because this kind of thing never interests you. And I always think that's the cool thing about Trivial Pursuit. Because of the different categories, you can have weaknesses and strengths.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if maybe entertainment would have been a good category for Del to draw because he obviously was very interested in music and movies and stuff at the time.
Yeah.
But quite a lot of the categories.
You can't whack the Who.
Yeah, and he might have gotten good in orange in the sports category, maybe. He just got unfortunate with this category that he picked because
I got a horror movie trivia game bought for me for Christmas, and every single question that was about a horror movie I'd seen I got right, but everyone that wasn't I got it wrong, of course.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, that's the fun thing about this game, but Stephen's just such a prat that he wants to highlight how
he really was
stupid Del is just for not knowing this. So Rodney is trying to help, so is Albert. So Albert gives him the little 3 letters hint, and Rodney gets a pen out and tries to... I mean, I feel like Stephen would have seen this as well, but it doesn't matter because it's really funny. So he's nudging Del's knee.
Rodney's like kneeing him.
And then Del catches on and sees the pen.
Got it. It's a Bic.
This takes us out of the scene with that classic moment where the song is in time with each of the characters' faces shock and disbelief as what has just happened. And it takes us onto the coach into the next scene. So do you want to do your notes?
So firstly, I love how Del misunderstands everything that Stephen says. Like, he has to keep being told. Yeah, it's just brilliant. I just love that Del never ever gets it right. It's so funny.
Me too.
The entire yuppie conversation is great. You already mentioned Alan and Rodney's reactions when he's calling Stephen a yuppie. It's just brilliant. I always loved the idea of playing Trivial Pursuits, but I couldn't get a single question right when we used to play when I was a kid. I mean, we had the older version because there's like obviously different versions for different years. So we probably had the one that they're playing in this episode actually, because we had one at home when we were kids. And yeah, like I had no idea about any of the questions ever, even though I used to like playing because I loved the idea of little wedges, like making up a little ring, and it was like cake.
Yeah, I was going to say that I remember we used to play it all the time, and quite often we would get it wrong. And Fran will remember this when I was reading the answers and I asked her a question and she answered and I was like, no. And the answer was the Champs-Élysées and I said, no, it's the Champs Elsie. Because we were just little kids, so we didn't know.
The sad thing is, dude, I probably still read it as that today.
I remember we played all the time. Yeah, we played even though we had no idea.
Yeah. I used to like the ideas of putting little... I never ever earned a wedge the entire time, but I like the idea of putting the little wedges in the slots. I thought that was great.
Yeah, so I had a lot of sympathy for Del here. But all of the entertainment questions were all from the 70s and 80s, yeah. So, like...
Yeah.
They weren't things that we knew. We were just little kids and we knew like a 90s trivia, but a lot of it we didn't know. So
yeah, there wasn't any take that questions when we used to play. There probably would be now in the oldies edition.
Yeah.
Oh my. So I wonder how Cassandra could not know, or more importantly not care, that Rodney hates Stephen. Like, I would not subject my partner to this like person that I can see they hate. Like, you don't have to, you literally just have to look at Rodney's face every time Stephen is speaking to see how much he hates Stephen. And, I would, as a wife, I know that you want to get promoted and all this stuff, but I would take Rodney's feelings into consideration here about how much he clearly hates this person. And I'd be very grateful that he was willing to sit down with him and come to the dinners and be nice to him for me. Like, that's how I'd look at this if I was Cassandra. But anyway.
I think because you're not married, it is totally normal that you have to suffer people you don't like when you're married for their career and for their happiness. I think in any relationship,
Yeah, but you should be grateful that they did it. You shouldn't just expect it just because you're married, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, she should be more understanding of it. But at the same time, she's just so hyper-focused on getting her job, I guess. And I think it's a shame that she goes down this route. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to say I used to get very confused between S&N and S&M.
You're very different.
Yes, I know. That's what I mean. But they sound so similar, so it's understandable. I used to think, wow, S&M is like a category in Trivial Pursuit.
We never used to call the categories by the letters, so this is weird that he does that just to show up again that no one knows. Oh, it means science and nature.
Science and nature. Yeah, I put it's a bic, ha 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 in my script. Because it's that funny. Yeah, the transition to the next scene is brilliant. That was all the notes I had for that scene.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say that abbreviation thing that Stephen does is a yuppie thing, because that's how they speak. Yeah. They speak in breves.
Yeah, doesn't Del mention that in Sickness and Wealth?
Yes. Is it Sickness and Wealth? No,
PMT.
I thought it.
You laughed at.
I think it was Little Problems. He says it, isn't it? And when he's talking about the letters,
I can't remember, but I know he mentions it in Series 6 that yuppies speak like that.
DIC. What are these letters to my name? DIC.
That is Diploma in Computerization, Rodney.
Okay, so we are moving on now to the first part of the actual Jolly Boys outing. We're how far into the episode, and we're just about starting. It's not that far in the actual episode.
80 minutes in our last recording.
I mean in the episode of Any Falls in Horse.
Oh.
I think it's about 20-ish minutes in, right, before the Jolly Boys outing actually starts. So I can't remember the exact timestamp. I've put a few others throughout the episode. So as we were just saying in the last scene, the song goes from the dinner into the coach journey. So this is the song that is playing on the coach, and this is Bananarama's version of Help, obviously originally sung by the Beatles. It actually says in the script specifically that this version of the song is playing, and I'm guessing that's because John Sullivan chose it because it was current. It had just been released in 1989 as a charity version for Comic Relief on Red Nose Day. And it featured Lanine... Oh, God, I never know how to say this. Lana Nini Nunu, that's it, which was a spoof band of Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders, and Kathy Burke. So there's another reason it might be that John Sullivan wanted to do it because it was a BBC thing, right? Because Comic Relief was BBC. Am I right in saying that?
I think so.
So maybe he wanted to feature it because for the charity reason. And also they couldn't use the original, but I also think this version is a lot more high energy. I mean, not a lot more, but it's more high energy than the original. So
yeah,
it fits
it's less
the scene
60s
better.
sounding.
Yeah, exactly. So the scene starts with that song playing, and the first thing we see is clearly Del's radio from the market has been installed in the front of the coach. So again, this has to be made very clear, I think, several times throughout the episode. So the coach is full of all the Beano guests, and they're all singing along. The camera shots change between different shots of a few rando people at the back, all uncredited as far as I can see. So let us know if you were one of these people or if you know any of these people. I always thought when I was a kid that these were all the crew, and they just like put them on the coach because like we all needed to travel together. So they were like all the crew sit at the back and just go like sing along.
I mean, logistically that would make sense. So if that is what they did, that would make a lot of sense.
But yeah, I've never seen anywhere written names of these people, so let us know if you were one of them or if you knew who they are. And but then we see all the main cast are there. So firstly, Denzel is towards the back. Then we see Mickey and Jevon opposite a snoozing Albert. There is a cut shot to Rodney alone, and then Del sitting near the front of the in front of Mike and Boise. So everyone seems to be having a lot of fun and having a good old sing-song. And we cut back to Mickey and Jevon, and Mickey decides that Albert is being too boring, so he sings loudly in his ear. Won't you please please help me, help me.
Help me.
Get out, you noisy little git. I really love Albert's response to Mickey.
I think I would have said something similar.
Yeah, totally. So Albert gives us a little bit of first time context here, and he says that they left before breakfast, and Jevons says they had to because it's a bank holiday plus a rail strike, so the roads were going to be chock-a-block. So I looked this up on current Google because I'm not that familiar with this part of the country. Like we said, we've never been to Margate.
Yeah.
And I think that the road systems could be quite different by now. But my Google Maps said that it would take, to get from Peckham to Margate, it would only take 1 hour and 39 minutes by taking the A2 and the M2. So I'm guessing that those roads were either not there or things are different then, because if it was only 1 hour and 39 minutes, it doesn't make sense how long this journey appears to take.
Well, they're definitely on a motorway when they're on the coach before they pull into the halfway house.
It looks like a motorway or a dual carriageway. Yeah, it looks like a fast road. And
yeah.
So what time would you... Obviously, everybody has different perceptions of what leaving before breakfast means, but I feel like they must have left at like 7 a.m.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And they're not leaving the halfway house until 11. So, yeah, I guess I just need a little bit of an explanation of why it took them so long to get there.
Yeah.
If anybody can tell me what it was like in 1989, because when I look now and it says 1 hour and 39 minutes, I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the time frame of sort of how long they spend in Margate and everything, like, and how long is Rodney at the police station, it's all very confusing because to me, it looks like they only had about 2 hours in Margate. The fact that it's still light out when they're at the coach, getting on the coach to come back. I mean,
well,
we all know it gets dark later in the summer, but again, when is this supposed to be? You know,
well,
it's just...
There's several times that are actually mentioned throughout the episode, so I consider this to be one. They said they left before breakfast, so whether that means 6 a.m. or 8 a.m., I don't know, but it's in the morning time. And we know they don't leave the halfway house till 11, but that's before Rodney gets arrested. And they leave Margate at 6, or at least that's when they're supposed to leave. So we have a few time stamps. I just don't understand the journey there. Like, why does it take them so long? So, yeah, let us know. Maybe the A2 and the M2 were not easy ways to get there back in 1989. So that would explain that. It's kind of like a school maths question here. It's like, if you leave at this time, what time would you arrive at the halfway house? So it's also worth noting here that I think, oh no, we already talked about this, whether it's the August or the May bank holiday. So let us know what you think. I think it's late May. That's my theory.
Yeah, I'd go with May over August.
Yeah, so there's a note in the lovely Jubbly book to add in here that it says that there was a lot of trouble filming this scene because the view kept changing as the coach was moving, which caused the continuity issues. And yeah, because they actually are on a coach here, filming on a coach.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays they would just put the green screen.
It's not safe, really, to do this. I think that's probably why it wouldn't be done in this day and age. I mean, you're not supposed to get up and walk around on coaches anyway. And obviously, there's like Del walking up and down the aisle, not to mention the crew would have been standing filming. It's a safety concern more than anything as to why you couldn't do this in this day and age, I think.
Yeah, because it says here, alongside the regular cast, there were around 20 extras and the crew members. So there's a quote here from Tony Dow. He said, shooting all that stuff on the coach was always a nightmare, but it was a great piece. It's true.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely get the realistic vibes. This feels like a real coach trip. So
because it was.
Yeah.
Like, they were actually on the road. I mean, what they probably should have done is they probably should have picked like a couple of miles of road and just gone in a big circle round and round and round so the scenery looked the same.
They actually did have to drive to Margate though, right? So maybe they went.
Yeah.
It does say at the beginning of the scene in the script that who we shouldn't see in that opening scene is the driver and Alan, because we need the reveal that Alan is sitting right next to Rodney in a moment's time, and we shouldn't know who the driver is until later. So it says that because I think
they do that well.
It looks like, yeah, I mean, obviously we have no idea at this point, but if you hired a coach, you would think you would get like an official driver who might enforce rules and stuff. But later we find out that Harry is one of the friends and he's actually on the trip with them. So it's not as serious. They're not going to have some driver being like, oh, like stop walking around like you're breaking the law or whatever. So
yeah,
it's a little bit more chill than you might expect if you hired like a National Express coach or whatever to take you. So back to the scene. Del is heading down the coach with some cans and Albert wants some food. It's funny how he just asks Del as if Del's like the waiter.
Well, Del is walking up and down the coach like a waiter. It reminds me of an airline steward.
Del tells him that Denzel is in charge of the sandwiches, so he heads off to grab him some, and we get our first shot of Trigger here when Mickey says that Del didn't make the sandwiches, and he probably got some idiot to make them for him. Trigger says,
No, I made them for him.
I just really love Mickey's face after Trigger says this line. I don't know why it's so funny, just the way he looks back at Jevon. Really funny. So Del sees Denzel knocking back a handful of pills here, and this starts a storyline that continues throughout the whole episode. He assumes they're drugs, but Denzel explains.
I've got this infection.
Oh, have you?
It's in the ear.
How do you get it in?
Ear infections.
So it says here in the script, in case anyone is wondering, that Del's look is supposed to show that he thinks it's the clap or worse.
Yes,
that's what
it's an STD. That's what I thought it was, yeah.
That's what it says in the script. So it's important, obviously, for later that Del learns that Denzel can't drink on this trip. So for the running joke of the continuity, for everyone making fun of his disease. But Del learns a very valuable bit of information here, and that's that Denzel isn't drinking.
Yes.
So even though Del understands, you'd think, that he can't catch anything from Denzel, he still makes the decision to take the food away.
There's been a change in plan. You're no longer in charge of the sandwiches. Michael, that's changed. You're in charge of the grub.
So as Del is heading back to the frontier, he passes Sid, so we see another character that we know is now on the Beano, a regular.
Yeah.
And Sid wants to know why he wasn't asked to make the sandwiches. And Del's explanation is simple.
We intend to eat them. Oh, all right.
So we already know that Sid's food is supposed to be awful, but they do all continue to eat in his cafe, so yeah, you know. So just as Del is walking away here, we do hear the beginning bars of the 2468 Motorway song by Tom Robinson's band. So that is a very classic song from this episode as well.
Oh, it's a banger.
So Del comes back to the front of the coach and announces that they are only 10 minutes away from the halfway house now, and everyone cheers. And we get another moment here that's pretty famous.
Make those lagers long and cool.
Yes. Look out, Margate, and look up your daughters, eh? All right, Ellen?
So now we see that Alan is seated right next to his son-in-law, Rodney. Great choice of line to say there, Rodney, when you're right next to your father. So Rodney forgot that he's married there for a second. So now we get some pretty cool shots interluded with the dialogue of the coach going along the motorway. And we cut back inside to see now that Mike is handing out all the sandwiches, and he hands Denzel a bell from the Nag's Head. Denzel takes it without realizing, and it turns out Del has ratted him out.
You promised you wouldn't say anything.
Sorry, Denzel, he just sort of slipped there.
So after Del is done laughing, he does sit for just a second and observes that his radio is smoking. But he doesn't get too long to look at that because Rodney distracts him by pointing out that they are at the halfway house. So the long shot confirms this as we see the coach pulling into the car park of what was the Whitbread Roman Gallery pub. And this was actually on Thanet Way, so it's only 10 minutes away from Margate, not halfway. Everybody files off the coach, and I noticed that Del says first of many as he gets off the coach. But is it the first? Because I feel like they've already been drinking on the coach, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
They were drinking cans on the coach, and then they're in the halfway house. They don't seem to spend any time in a pub in Margate, not in the montage anyway. They're just kind of mainly sort of running around the fairground and the beach. So,
but we do know they drink a lot because Rodney says Del had 14
pina coladas.
So we see everybody filing off the coach, and then it fades into the inside. So any notes on that scene, dude?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I said this looks so fun. I remember a couple of times in my life when we've been on big sort of, not road trips necessarily, but like big things like this where we all get together and go out, and it was always a blast. I miss those days. I think this is the first time we get an episode where every single side character interacts with each other. Because I don't think we see all these different side characters having conversations again like we do in this episode, or just hanging out together like we do in this episode. It's like everybody's friends with each other in this episode, which again is what makes it so memorable and so wonderful. One of the factors that everybody loves about this. And they're literally drinking beer in the morning, like on the coach, and it's not cold. It's in cans. Like, I'm such a snob. I'd want my beers to be long and cold.
Yes.
I said by this point, some of the characters sort of been given their signature look that we are familiar with. So we've got like Trigger's blue suit and Mickey's hat. Like, these two things are kind of staples now for those characters. They always have them, which I really like. And I said the sandwiches looked very smashed up. I'm not sure I'd want to eat them. They look like they were just sort of scrunched up and put in the box from the shot we get of them.
Yeah, Trigger made them.
I guess Trigger's not the best at making sandwiches either. I said I wondered where they got that bell from for the prank for Denzel, but you just said it's the Nag's Head's bell. Why have they got it there, though?
Yeah, I mean, obviously somebody said this in the continuity issues on IMDb. Like, they didn't know Denzel had the disease, so why did he bring the bell? But it kind of it's funny because maybe Mike would bring the bell just so that they could ring it as part of the Beano. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe Del told him to bring it so he could, like, get everyone's attention at one point. But yeah, I just thought I was a bit like, oh, how lucky they have this great thing here to prank Denzel with. And I said, how did the driver not notice the smoke coming from the radio? I mean, it's not just a little bit of smoke, it's quite a lot of smoke coming out of the radio. I think that you would have noticed it. If Del noticed it, the driver would have noticed it. But obviously the driver can't notice it for the joke.
Well, he's looking at the road. He's a good driver.
Oh, well. So I guess this is a note sort of for the next scene as well, but I said, I know it's implied that the smoke from the radio is what affects Harry and makes him appear drunk. I was come over by fumes or something. Mm-hmm. But if it was that potent, I imagine it would have affected other people in the coach as well, and not just Harry. Anyone sitting near the front of the coach would have been affected, I would have thought as well. But anyway, just saying, as I always do. And yeah, that was all I had for that scene. Great scene, lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised you're not going to say that Denzel drives just as far as the coach.
I am. Yeah. Later on, you stepped on my note.
I mean, I don't think I needed to guess that you were going to say that. I know you're going to point this stuff out. But the only thing I think that helps explain it is that, that maybe when you're driving a coach, because I've never driven a coach, that you have to look at a much bigger space and you're less likely to focus on the stuff beneath you. Because in a car, your dashboard is always in your line of sight. I'm not sure if it is in a coach. But yeah, Denzel is sitting in the coach later and sniffs it straight away. Maybe the initial fumes it gave off were more potent or something. I don't know.
Well, if this is the halfway house, Denzel technically drove the same amount as Harry to get to Margate, so he should have been affected by it there as well, and he isn't at all.
But also Harry's older, so we don't know that everybody is affected the same way by every little thing. So that's my only logical explanation for this. If you actually were driving and you started to feel dizzy, you would stop. So he obviously didn't feel any of it till he got to the pub, and he said he's overcome all of a sudden. So yeah, he didn't notice it while they were going along. So
it's lucky, because he would have crashed the coach.
I mean, there's a lot of lucky escapes here. They could have all died. But
very true.
Again, maybe this episode wouldn't have been as much fun if you look at all these details, like how close they all came to dying. But anyway,
several times. Not to mention when Del became a ride operator. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right. Don't forget, things were very different in the 80s. Okay, so now we are at the halfway house where the serious stuff begins. And so this scene starts with actually, we'll just talk about the halfway house first. So I mentioned that it was filmed at the Whitbread Roman Gallery pub, which was about 10 minutes from Margate. It actually is no longer a pub, and it's now residential apartments. And as much as Only Fools and Horses fans want to visit it for location tours, you can't go there. Like, you can't even get access to it. So Tom Griff from the One Foot in the Podcast has messaged me the other day and let me know that he had just been to Margate on a location tour, and they tried to go, and it was really funny. They couldn't get anywhere near it. It reminds me a little bit of when you go to the Hollywood sign and you think you can go to the Hollywood sign, you can't because you're not allowed. So you have to climb through bushes and have your photo taken with it backwards behind you. So they had to climb through bushes to just get a glimpse of it. And he did get a photo of himself with it, but it's not somewhere that you can go. And I think a lot of people are probably pretty bummed about that, honestly. But yeah, so anyway, it does look the same, kind of. The building structure is recognizable, I think. Otherwise you wouldn't take your pictures, would you? But again, there's always lots of great location tour videos you can watch on the My Only Fools and Horses page. I think this is a tough one for people. They can't go. And I forgot to mention this in the intro, but there is the Jolly Boys tours coming up, organised this year in May. They start in May. And they're going to go around lots of the locations. They're not going to be able to go here. And I don't know how many fans realise that. They might think, oh, we get to go to the halfway house. You're not going to be able to go to the halfway house either. But they're going to mostly go around the filming locations in Margate, which will be really fun for everybody, I'm sure. The first tour is the 16th of May, in case you're interested, but it's sold out. So as it stands right now, as we're recording, the 17th of May one is not sold out. It looks like all the Saturdays are sold out and not the Sundays, and this totally makes sense because it's very difficult. Actually, the Saturdays in June are not sold out right now. The tours will have already started, so you can let us know where you went then. That's cool if you got to go on the tour. We're not in the UK, so no chance of going.
Yeah,
but
we would have loved to have gone on something like this if we were in the UK.
So let us know where you went, but I already know you're not going to be able to go to the halfway house unless you want to climb through a bush like Tom. So I don't think a whole coach load, there's 27 of us. I don't think you're all going to climb through the bush. So yeah, anyway, I was always curious about this though. This was a real pub they went to in the day. So why didn't they film inside? I guess there's reasons why they couldn't. They did film inside, but they didn't film in the pub. So it kind of looks like maybe they were like, oh shit, like we're not allowed to film in here. We'll just film the entrance.
Yeah, I literally put a note saying that considering how this is built up on the coach and it's like the pub scene is very mild actually.
It is, yeah. It's funny because it's basically Sid and Albert just having a chat in the doorway. You don't see everybody else drinking, but
yeah. Or Del in the toilet with Mike and Eddie. That's it, really.
This looks like a real toilet, but then at the same time, how did they film this with the mirror? I don't know. Is this a real bathroom? I don't know.
Maybe not.
But then, yeah, they must be because they wouldn't build a set of a toilet.
I mean, they could. I'd imagine a lot of sets of toilets have been built.
Well, they did in the Nag's Head, didn't they? Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. There's not every detail is included all the time, so these are things I just don't know. But yeah, I always thought it was a bit of a strange scene. There's a lot of plot building because we need to meet Eddie and get Mike and discuss the Harry situation. So they didn't need another scene of everybody getting drunk. It's fair. But it is kind of funny the way they focus.
What?
Yeah, they pull away from all of that and they start the scene with Albert and Sid just eyeing up a couple of sorts. And they're standing by the, the arcade machines and stuff, and looks like the entrance.
Yeah.
Mike comes in looking a little on edge, and he says he's looking for Del because old Ari has had too much to drink, and it's Del's responsibility to take care of it. So he rushes off to search for Del, and he randomly runs into his old mate, Eddie Chambers. So Eddie Chambers was played by Steve Alder, who was in 7 episodes of The Professionals. It feels like everybody was in The Professionals at this point. He was also in Minder and The Bill, but he died really young. He was only 47, only 8 years after this episode was made. Here we get the wrap-up, or the payoff, I guess, for the story from earlier with Albert, because we find out when he's chatting to Sid that it materializes that Sid spent most of the war in a German prisoner of war camp, and he only had one chance to escape. In a strange turn of events, it turned out Albert and his aforementioned Greek fishing trawler actually spoiled Sid's chances of escaping in the war, and he spent the rest of the war in a stalag. So yeah, it's pretty funny that Albert realizes this. He feels kind of guilty and offers him a drink. Must be nice. He doesn't admit it, but yeah, he's just.
He calls it epoxy Greek fishing trawler.
Yeah. It's great that the audience realizes it, and you can hear the laughter building as
Albert's face leaves little to deny about the situation as well.
But I see this happen a lot in scenes, and Sid has not finished his drink, and Albert's like, "Can't see another one." This happens so much. It's like, if you're going to get me another drink, can you just let me finish my drink first?
Yeah.
But then it makes sense with Del because he's always ordering more. That's a Del character thing. I know they do it in Modern Men.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the whole joke, isn't it, in Modern Men, that they just keep ordering rounds
when
they haven't even touched their second one. You know?
The tray is just sitting there full of drinks. He's like, "Another round when you're ready, Mike." So we move into the bogs and we find Mike has found Del, and he also finds Eddie again in here. So before he gets a chance to tell him about Harry, they end up talking with Eddie, and Del manages to learn that Eddie owns a club in Margate, the Mardi Gras, very important part of the story for later, because if he hadn't run into Mike in the toilets here, Del and Raquel may never have reunited.
Yeah, I know.
Del's entire future
Kismet.
begins here in the toilet.
With a guy who doesn't wash his hands.
Yeah. So yeah, it does say at the beginning of the script for this part that Del is being very meticulous about washing his hands, which is not something I think is a Del character thing at all until this scene.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
It's just really
too.
funny because we know that David Jason like to always be busy and interact with the set, and it keeps them in the toilet for long enough for them to have this discussion. So it's a pretty clever way of writing the scene, the way that he has to keep going like, oh shit, I gotta wash my hands again. So
yeah.
So Eddie ends up giving Del and Mike complimentary tickets, which at this time Del is planning to just flog to the tourists because they're meant to leave Margate by 7, Mike says. Little does he know that more plot twists are coming. So after Eddie leaves the toilets, Mike finally gets the chance to tell him that he better come and have a look at old Harry, which leads us nicely into the next scene. And any notes on that little interaction in the pub and the toilet?
Yeah, I just said, again, love to see the side characters get a chance to shine in this episode. Sid and Albert having their conversation. You know, the majority of this scene is Sid and Albert's joke and interaction, which is great. And I just think it's so gross to think the amount of people walking around touching things that don't wash their hands. I'm really aware of this. I think everyone's more aware of this after COVID. But yeah, it's just really gross to think of it. And I love the setup for the Mardi Gras. I said that as well. I think it's really clever the way that they integrate it into this. And just a little side note, I never see those types of towel dryers in bathrooms anymore. I wonder if it's because they're considered unhygienic.
Yeah. I mean, all types
Maybe.
of hand dryers are pretty unhygienic, but yeah, these were horrible. I don't know if I've seen one in a long time, but...
Yeah, they were always wet.
Yeah, it's always like, oh, you're all wet. They were like... always soaking wet, and it was gross, and you had to like do what Del does where he's like pulls it down gently with his little pinched fingers because you couldn't use them, but your hands were wet, so you were making the towel worse every time you did it.
Yeah,
they're gross.
I agree. Very weird. I'm glad I don't see those around too much anymore.
Me too.
But that was all I had for that scene.
Yeah, and I forgot to say that this is the first episode where Albert and Sid interact, and I love the fact that they tried to put another character in Albert's kind of history here.
Yes.
They added a way of linking them, but they also made Sid the older generation. And we've got that really great thing that happens in this episode, and that is that all generations on the Jolly Boys outing together having a great time. You've got presumably the youngest people like Mickey and Rodney, all the way up to the oldest people like Albert and Sid. And maybe
well, yeah, I mean, they're establishing that in the next scene, aren't they? Having them playing like football outside the coach, whereas all the old people are in the pub.
Exactly. So, yeah, they have that, but they're all still able to have a good time together. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they don't have people on this trip as young as Del was supposed to be in the
he's supposed
old
to be
day.
17 or something.
Yeah.
16, 17.
So we have to assume Mickey is the same age as Rodney. So we're talking 28 by this point, if Rodney actually did age in the last year since he got married. So it's not like 16, 17-year-olds are on it like they were in what's said to be the past Jolly Boys outing where Freddie the Frog goes and stuff.
Yeah.
So now we cut to the car park outside the pub, and this was filmed in that car park outside, which you can't go to. And we see Rodney, Mickey and Javon and Denzel are having a bit of a kickabout next to the coach. And then we see Trigger and Mike kind of half carrying out old Harry through the door, and he's stumbling all over the place, closely followed by Del, Albert, Alan, and Sid. So we haven't seen Harry until this point, right? So Harry was played by actor Roy Evans, who is actually still alive. He's 96 years old.
Wow.
He has a massive credit list again on IMDb. The last addition to this would have been 2004, so he's not no longer an actor.
No, he's not been acting all the way up till now.
Yeah, he seems like he's mostly in like one episode of like hundreds of things. Like I looked all the way through. There's quite a lot of times where he's in 3 or 4 of something, but that's why his credit list is so long, and he was in a lot of...
Yeah, he's a bit part actor.
He's in loads of movies.
There's a lot of actors that make their money off that kind of stuff, just like being in everything, just for like 1 or 2 episodes. You can see that when you watch sort of 90s sitcoms. If you binge like lots of different ones, you can see the same people always popping up in different episodes of different things.
I know, yeah. It's like also if you watch a lot of old 90s TV shows, you see people in their first early roles, sometimes people who go on to be famous. I definitely observed this when I was watching ER, and I I found when I was listening to the ER podcast, they have like a moment where it's called "Hey, it's that guy" moment, because like you see so many people in ER that you recognize. You're like, oh my god, it's that person. So it's like, yeah. I
think the one for me that shocked me the most when I watched it is that I know most of our listeners probably won't have a clue what California Dreams is, but Fergie is in California Dreams.
Yeah, so sometimes people who go on to be really, really famous, if you look back at their history, you'll see that they played a 2-minute part in some old, or a 1-line part, or sometimes just an appearance in the background of a really obscure show that no one's ever seen. So I always think that's really fun to do if like you really are a fan of someone, to go back and watch all their old appearances. And sometimes, they end up being really famous, so it's funny. But in this case, I didn't really recognize him from anything else, but he's been in tons of stuff. It would have mostly been before my time. So he's basically falling over here, and as we, the audience, still think he's just really drunk. And we're about to get the famous reveal here, which is really funny.
This is good news, isn't it?
It's no problem. You just chuck him on the back seat, let him sleep it off.
Chuck him on the back seat. He's the driver.
So clearly Alan didn't go anywhere near the front of the coach.
I love the way John Chalice delivers that line.
Yeah, it's a really great, really greatly written reveal, because you have no idea. Yeah.
No, you just think he's one of the guys sitting on the coach who's gotten really drunk.
And you're thinking at this point, what are we going to do? We've got a drunk guest already. And they're like, he's the driver. So now they need to figure out a way to get out of this issue. Albert suggests that Denzel drive the coach, but Denzel is not pleased about this.
Hey, Denzel, come over here. This is your lucky day.
No.
No? What do you mean, no?
I am not driving that coach. I've been driving all week and this is my day off.
If you don't drive it, we'll have to wait here until Harry sobers up.
And by the look of it, that could take about a fortnight.
Well, Sid used to be on the buses. He can drive it.
I'd love to, Denzel, but I've had a couple of drinks.
Yeah, well, so have I, you see.
No, you haven't. You're not allowed to drink. You're on antibiotics because of your disease.
I have not got a disease. I have got an ear infection.
So while they're all arguing here, a couple of police officers start eyeing up old Harry being escorted onto the bus. It says in the script that they can feel a nick coming on. So this
I think I thought it was more they were looking over because of the argument between all of them over Denzel driving the coach. I didn't think it was so much that Harry was drunk that was attracting their attention.
I don't know if it really is one or the other or both. I think it's mostly because they see Harry, is what it says in the script. But it comes across that they see commotion. And he is insinuating that the police are always just looking for a nick here. So they were looking for a nick no matter what. They wanted to nick someone, and that's why they just nick Rodney for something stupid here that was beyond his control.
I put that too. I said, like, no, you would not be able to get nicked for something like this, surely. Like, clearly a ball hitting you like a stray is accidental.
You could in this country. I don't know about in England, but I feel like, they'll nick you for anything here.
It's quite scary.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows that about the police, right? Like, I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but in here it is. So they start heading over, and we hear that Denzel has actually agreed to drive the rest of the way to Margate as long as Harry drives it home later. So at this good news, Del tries to rally everybody onto the coach, and this is where it all starts going wrong.
Rodney, give me that ball.
Rude gullet, nowhere.
Excuse me, sir.
So poor Rodney gets completely unreasonably arrested, I put here. Unfortunately, Del is not well in with the Kent police establishment, so they take Rodney away and they assume he's drunk here. He's too much.
Yes.
I don't know why they assume he's drunk. He's not had much to drink, but...
Yeah. No, it's a good job. I mean, Rodney, in the next series, like, it would be totally in keeping for Rodney to have drank way too much at a pub, so it's a good job he wasn't like that here.
But even if he had had a drink at the pub, does he really deserve to be arrested for having a drink and kicking a football? No.
No.
And just in case you need that joke explaining or that line explaining, because I noticed it was in the thread of misunderstood jokes or whatever, or non-understood jokes on Reddit. Ruud Gullit was a Dutch footballer who at this time...
I assumed he was a footballer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think they know what Rodney says, is what it seems to say in the thread. But he would have at the time been playing for AC Milan and a known name. So yeah, that's it for that scene. What notes do you have?
I just put, I love the part where Mike and Trigger discuss what's wrong with Harry.
Oh, yeah.
Trigger says...
What do you think's wrong with him?
What do I think? Your snow blindness would be my bet, Trig.
Yeah? I thought he was pissed.
Well, actually, ironically, Trigger is right.
Yes.
To ask that question even though he says he thought he was pissed, everyone's like, oh, it's obviously he's drunk. But again, it's this misdirection because we're so sure Harry is drunk that we don't think anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's not. So
Yeah,
it wasn't that obvious, was it? So Trigger's not stupid.
No.
Yeah.
That's all I had anyway for that scene.
Okay, so a quick little scene here at the police station. It's really nothing. They just come out. We see that Rodney, Del, and Alan coming out. So it's kind of nice that Alan went with him, like he's his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a little shot of everybody on the coach waiting outside the police station. And Harry is falling asleep on Boyce's shoulder, which is really funny. I love Boyce's face. So Rodney's really worried here that Cassandra is going to be angry, but logical Alan here says that Cassandra doesn't need to know, and I think that's a really cool dad thing that he does here for him. Again, it's not actually important that Cassandra knows this, so
yeah,
fair enough. Like, this was not something Rodney did wrong. This doesn't need to be made a bigger deal out of than it was. So
yeah.
Del says they're not proceeding with the case. Rodney doesn't seem convinced, but it seems like they might have lost a lot of time at this point. This is where we're not sure how long this took, but we don't know. So they jump back onto the coach, and then it's going to lead into everybody's favourite scene. Del slams the door shut and says,
Full ahead, both. We're off to Margate.
And now we get a nice close-up of the somewhat makeshift sign on the side of the coach that reads, The Jolly Boys Outing, Nag's Head, Peckham, 1989. ... Any notes?
That would be such a cool souvenir to keep, wouldn't it, and have on your wall. I wonder if anyone picked that up and kept it.
Yeah, does anybody have the original? Because I feel like it probably got fucked up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, what an amazing thing to have if you had it. Yeah, I just said I'm surprised that the whole coach had to go to the police station. Why didn't they all carry on to Margate and then Del and Rodney and Alan stay with at the police station and then go and join them afterwards? Like, it's crazy that the entire Beano had to wait for Rodney to get out of the police station when there's like 27 of us.
But they wouldn't have been able to go though, because they're like only halfway at that point.
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I wonder, like, obviously nowadays if something like this happened, the coach would carry on, you go to the police station in the police car and then you get an Uber or something to Margate, you know.
But now there's no Ubers.
But I just think it's quite funny that the entire group, because I don't know if people paid to go on this thing. I assume that everyone contributed financially because of the sandwiches and the alcohol and everything and the hiring the coach. And you know, I'd be pretty pissed off if I paid money to go on something like this and like a good sort of probably 2 hours out of my day had been gone because one person on the coach got arrested.
Yeah.
I'd just be a bit annoyed. But yeah, that's all I had for that scene.
Yeah. I actually forgot to say that we got in that last scene with the kicking around. That's when Jevon says that it's 11 o'clock.
Yes, 11 o'clock. Yeah.
So they were supposed to leave the halfway house at 11 o'clock. If it took them from before breakfast to, let's say, 10 a.m. to get to the halfway house, they wouldn't have been looking to arrive in Margate till 1 or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We're overthinking it.
We are overthinking it because clearly there's a lot of hours in this montage of stuff that they did. Even just the amount of food and drink that they have.
But in the first scene, Del says they're only going to be in Margate for a few hours. So it does make sense.
But yeah, I mean, we used to go on coach trips to Blackpool, and I remember us being quite disappointed when we found out we actually only got 4 hours to spend on the pleasure beach with all the travelling there and back. You don't get a lot of time on these sorts of things usually if you just go for one day. One
day. This is really annoying. Yeah, like I remember my first experience of this would probably be in high school when they organised a trip that sounded like the best trip in the world, and it was to Alton Towers. And when I found out that you had to pay the same entry fee that you normally do, but the coach wasn't due to arrive at Alton Towers until 12 noon, and you would be leaving there by 4 p.m. Because everybody knows that theme parks, the biggest rides are going to have a 2-hour queue.
Oh my God, in Alton Towers, you'd spend 3 hours queuing for one ride back then. I mean, you'd probably only get one ride if you were lucky in 4 hours.
Well, that's the thing. They did. All of my friends wanted to go on the Oblivion because it had just opened, and it was it was up to 3 hours. And I remember that I didn't go on anything except for what was there at the time, the Black Hole.
Yes.
With a friend of mine who didn't want to go on the Oblivion. And so you only got one ride because I spent the rest of the day holding everybody's bags while they lined up for the Oblivion.
Yeah.
And then, I do remember when we used to go to Blackpool as kids, Mum and Dad would make sure that we arrived at the time the park opened and stayed till it closed because that's how you get your money's worth.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so here we are. We are at the montage scene, and I wrote here, without a doubt, this montage, so beautifully done and captures something so pure and so honestly real that I feel like this montage is one of the reasons that it's my personal favorite episode. I'm sure a lot of other people agree. And we've all seen the photos of the cast and crew filming the Jolly Boys outing, enough to know that a lot of these scenes actually probably are real, genuine shots of fun happening. They are not acting like they're having fun.
Yeah, them just hanging out together and having fun.
They're actually having fun. So that's why I think it seems so real. And we know they were all staying down there to film as well. So it was a real holiday. So they'll actually have their own memories of it being a holiday. And that's why it comes across in the film. The fun that they're having translates to the viewer. So you feel like you're actually part of the vacation or the holiday, and you feel the same bursts of joy of your own childhood memories of seaside holidays, fun fairs, all the things that everybody remembers from their childhood.
Yeah, this is one of the most quintessentially British sort of holidays that I've seen in a montage, and I absolutely adore it. Yeah.
Yeah, now this really made me laugh, so I hope it makes you laugh too. I've told you loads of times about John Sullivan's really descriptive script inserts.
Yes.
It can be pages long. It can be this needs to be like this needs to be like this. So I was quite excited to get to this script and see what John Sullivan had written about this montage. So do you want to hear what he wrote?
I bet it's something really simplistic like, have fun, lads, or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. So it says, montage of travelling shots and arrival of coach in Margate, shots on seafront, beach funfair. That's all it says.
Wow.
So
and look at that lack of description, and look at what it created. You know what? Maybe he knew.
Yeah, he knew.
That just putting this group of people together, he didn't need to go into detail about what they were going to do, because he knew the actors would bring it to life and it would be magical.
Well, yeah. So this is the thing. So I'm guessing this was just a slot it in here because we know we're going to have a montage. This is not all that John Sullivan wrote about the montage, but in the script it just says the montage sits here. Because we know that, you know, you don't just go out with a camera and make this stuff up. A lot of this stuff was very planned, and they'd also decided on a few shots to insert that hadn't been thought of until they walked around. Like, for example,
of course,
we'll get to it, but the boat thing with Albert was decided when they saw that the little sailor looks like Buster Merrifield. So I just added that in there, but there's a little bit more information about it as we go through. So first of all, I'll go through and I'll do like a breakdown of all the shots in the montage, and we can talk about them. And if there's any actual little bits of trivia about them, I'll try to add them in as we go through. So first question that I have for you is, have you actually seen Chaz and Dave's Margate music video from the 1982 release of the song Down
No,
to
I don't think I have.
So I feel like there's actually quite a lot of similarities between that. So if you watch it, you'll see that some of this was similar, I think. Some of the shots are similar, and I'll point those out as we go through. So the first shot as the scene, as the music, so everybody's talking, coming up. So everybody's talking, very important song for this episode. It was written and recorded by the American singer-songwriter Fred Neil in 1966, released 2 years later. And the version performed in this episode is the Harry Nilsson version, which was a hit in 1969. Now, pretty famously featured in the movie Midnight Cowboy. Oscar-winning movie Midnight Cowboy, which I'm going to mention a little bit later on in this montage. But yeah, so we start to hear the opening bars of the song over the coach going along, and we see the excited faces of the Jolly Boys as they are arriving in Margate. So first we see Trigger, and then Albert, and then Boise, before we get this wonderful long shot of the coach arriving down the Margate seafront. So this was shot from a helicopter. This is not something you can just make up in the day. This had to be planned ahead.
Now you just use a drone.
Oh, yeah, I know. But yeah, a helicopter. Can you imagine? I really love this shot of the Margate seafront because
me too.
It shows us that they were actually there. Because sometimes we know in Only Fools and Horses history they've had to make things look like things. Like
I think you'd struggle to make a place look like Margate because of the way that it's unique and the layout, where the theme park is and everything.
But I wonder if anybody, I mean, I don't know. I suppose they did TV adverts showing clips of this episode, but did people watching this think, is this going to be another one of those things where they just show the insides of the hotels and the pubs? Are they actually going to go on this trip? Because they didn't go anywhere near a beach in The Unlucky Winner Is. They went to a beach in England when they went to Benidorm in Series 2.
Yeah.
So we haven't necessarily seen them go on proper holidays, have we? So maybe people thought they would naturally go on this trip.
The ones abroad, though, are harder to go on, obviously, for real. They're a lot more expensive. At least this one, being in the UK, people probably thought, oh, yeah, they'll actually go to Margate because they can drive there. It's not like you can drive to Benidorm, is it?
No, but it's still a massive undertaking to do a location shoot where you have to bring all the cast and crew out of the studios. And,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, so they didn't know, maybe, the audience. But it's possible that there was loads of TV adverts, like, teasing this episode. So people they knew they were actually going to go to the fun fair and stuff. So
maybe some people in Margate had leaked it as well to people that they'd seen them around filming, because there's loads of extras in the background who presumably weren't paid to be extras, and they were just at the theme park the day they were filming. So
luckily for some people, they would have just been in it. Yeah. But luckily everybody did a pretty good job, I think, of being background extras.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that you guys on the Jolly Boys talk and ask, like, how did they set up the scenes where they're in crowded places? Did they tell everybody, look, we're going to be shooting this, can you please just try to act natural and not look at the camera? Or did they actually cordon off? I'm assuming they couldn't cordon off areas of, like, Dreamland and stuff. So they would have to have just said, hey, can you guys please just act natural? Or they just bought smallish cameras through and hope people didn't notice, because I always wonder how they film scenes in busy places, because I know I used to live in LA, they used to close streets to film stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it would depend on what they're filming, because if they actually wanted it to look like a normal day on the seafront, they wouldn't close the street. They would just grab a camera and be like, oh, let's hope nobody notices, and look straight into the camera.
Well, they definitely did something special for the Mary Rose, since Del closes the gates.
Yeah. Well, they had to liaise with the people at the theme park because... Well, yeah, we'll get to those shots in the Mary Rose. Let's carry on. So there is a little moment here on the bus where Del is asleep and Rodney tries to wake him up. So keep that in your mind, because I'm going to come back to that and my theories on it. So after another long shot of the seafront, then the next shot we get is the boys all walking down the street. And we see Del doing his funny walk alongside Rodney.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to that too. Then we get this one really incredible famous shot where Trigger walks out of the shop with his dolphin and his kiss me quick hat. Where...
Yeah.
Let's face it, it's iconic from this episode. This is a huge laugh from the audience moment too. Yeah, such a great moment, the way he comes out and just looks...
He just looks so proud
yeah.
to be there with his dolphin and his kiss me quick hat.
Yeah, so I had to look up the kiss me quick hat. I know it's an iconic British seaside thing.
Yes.
I wonder if it still is. I assume it is, because a lot of British seaside towns appear to still be in the 80s, you know, selling the rock and everything.
The only references I've in sort of recent years that I've seen to these sorts of holidays is always in Coronation Street, when I've, you know, chimed in from every now and then, and someone's gone to Blackpool for the day, and they always come back with kiss me quick hats and sticks of rock still. So yes, I think so.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of the seaside towns don't age. I didn't mean the 80s, but I meant like the whole British seaside culture. In a way, feels a little old-fashioned when you go to them.
We've been to Llandudno quite a few times, and yeah, I think we see remnants of old England, even though it's not in England. But it's a seaside town, so you see
the whole
same
of Wales just cursed you.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I'm sorry, Wales. I won't see it again.
Oh dear.
Cancelled.
Sorry.
Cancelled.
Now it's just Jenny on the Long Live Hooky Street podcast all by herself, because Heather has been cancelled and deleted from history. Next, we see that Alan really can't control himself and is shoveling down the jellied eels. Mike comes over and drags him away. And I think this is one of the moments that's very similar to the Chaz and Dave Margate music video, I think, because I think they're standing by a stall that looks very similar to this. So then all of the main cast members run into the ocean for a paddle, except Del runs away before he reaches the water and Mike chases him. So here is when I first thought to comment on this for some reason. Some of the Jolly Boys appear to be wearing the right clothes for this trip, and some of them aren't. And who do you think is best dressed for this trip? My opinion is Denzel, Mike, and maybe Rodney.
I'm just thinking Sid looks pretty well dressed on the beach when Harry's asleep on him. He's got like a string vest.
Yeah, because I would think what Mike and Denzel are both wearing loose casual clothing is better for this trip.
Yeah.
Del wearing a suit, Boise wearing a suit.
Yeah, but that's them, isn't it, though?
Yeah. Trigger changes, I guess, or he takes off his jacket.
Yeah, Rodney's pretty appropriately dressed, I guess.
Yeah, because so these guys wouldn't bring much with them, right? Because they knew that they were going to go back that same day. Because some of them, like Trigger's not wearing his blue jacket in some of these scenes, and obviously some of them take off their jackets. Because I wondered if any of their stuff gets destroyed in the explosion. We know Trigger loses his dolphin.
Yeah, that's it. Well, aren't some of them wearing different outfits in the Mardi Gras later as well? Isn't Del wearing a different outfit? I mean, did he bring a spare change of clothes?
I thought he was just wearing his shirt without the jacket later. Yeah, I just thought that Del wearing his suit is funny because, like, yeah, he's got the suit rolled up to his knees. Obviously, you wouldn't want to go paddling in the ocean in a suit. So it's funny. I just like the contrast of the way they're all dressed. And I kind of like that Del and Boise are wearing suits because it shows that they're taking it in a kind of formal way. Del being the organizer and everything. And it is like a signature look for Del. But I just wonder why they chose to put Del in the suit and not in his like casual flat cap and stuff like that. But it doesn't matter. Obviously, I think it kind of is cool that he's wearing the suit. So
he's wearing the same outfit all the way through.
Yeah, which makes sense because they didn't bring any luggage because they didn't know they were staying the night.
Yeah.
So here, there's a lovely quick shot here of Harry sleeping on Sid's shoulder on the beach, which gives us a bit of, continuity that he's recovering from his feeling rough. And then there's a great shot of Del and Rodney walking away from the chippy with what looks like plenty of chips.
A lot of chips.
This is what I think.
Del not carrying any of them.
This is what I think gets the biggest laugh so far in the montage, is when it turns away and you see Rodney carrying the chips and Del's just walking along carrying the salt and vinegar, it appears.
Sauces?
More sauces? Yeah. Then it cuts to a shot of Uncle Albert saluting a big ship. I always loved this so much.
I love that.
Yeah. He's wearing his little waistcoat. And then we get a classic moment here where Mickey and Jevon are taking a bunch of photos of Boise, Mike, and Denzel. And Mike and Denzel keep kissing Boise just as the flash goes off, much to Boise's annoyance.
I love the way Mike kisses Boise because he kisses him on the lips and then he almost like looks like it was a mistake and then he like keeps kissing him even as he turns his head away.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
This is very old-fashioned nostalgic stuff as well. The idea of having limited a number of photos that you can take on a reel. And you used to have to be more careful about what you took pictures of. And you used to come back with a set number of photos, whereas now you've got...
Oh, you just, take as many as you want. Unless you've got limited cloud storage, you're fine.
Yeah, and as much as that's a cool thing, it does take away from what was the specialness of... Let's take some photographs.
Yeah, picking your photographs wisely. Yes, I agree. What you want to take, not just photo bombing and taking a million different things that don't mean anything.
Yeah, and never not taking pictures. People are constantly just walking around taking photos and videos of everything now, so you never actually see them not doing it, which is a shame. God, I sound old.
No, but I agree with you, dude. I think people don't live in the moment as much now because everything's just viewed through a screen.
Yeah, so the next shot is a huge group shot of everybody walking along the beach and Albert aggressively kicks the beach ball in the air, which I never realised before was Albert until I watched this closely. I always thought it was somebody else. So
yeah.
And then we get the rising aerial shot over the fun fair of everything in full swing, literally.
I love theme parks. This is great for me to see.
I know, and this is probably why this episode stuck in your head a lot as a kid as well, because kids love fun fairs. So like we saw all this and we were
adults love theme parks too. Me.
They do, but I think for kids there's like a magic about it, right? When you're watching these things when you're a little kid.
There's magic as an adult.
And I'm talking about most children though. There aren't many kids that don't like to see a fun fair.
Well, some people get fear in their stomach looking at fun fairs because they're afraid of the rides. But if you like rides, yes, you love theme parks.
So one of my favourite moments in the montage is the core cast here walking through the theme park with their arms all around each other. And Albert's hat kind of pulled down over his eyes and Boise tries to put a hat on Del and he like ducks. And we see Mike and Trigger like laughing together, which is really lovely because a lot of the time we hear Mike and Trigger bitching about each other.
Yeah.
So I just really like that shot because it's just the core cast and they just seem to be so happy together, just as a little group. So that's a great moment. And then we cut to some shots on the actual roller coaster.
Yes.
So Del and Jevon are in the front with Alan and Rodney behind, and I'm not sure I can tell who's behind them. I think Denzel.
No, I'm not sure the order, but yeah, they're all sitting on that ride.
So this ride reminds me of the Big Dipper at Blackpool.
Yeah.
I'm confused a little bit about how they filmed this.
Oh, so they would have mounted a camera on the front of the roller coaster to film them.
Yeah, I know.
Or they probably put like a dolly on the front of the coaster. I mean, it would have been difficult to do sort of in this era because obviously wooden roller coasters are notoriously rickety and it would have been shook a lot. And I think they must have probably gone through a few tests to make sure it would stay on before they let the roller coaster go off with the actual camera on it.
Well, that's why I'm confused, because like I feel like it's, first of all, I know they have a lot of rules. They would have had to get permission to film. Of course they would.
Yeah.
But I can't help picturing a big Russian camcorder balancing on the front of the coaster. But I'm guessing they had like specialist equipment for this, because it doesn't look rickety. It's a pretty good shot for its day.
No, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty good POV, backwards POV of all of them. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely filmed on the roller coaster. It's not using any sort of special effects. So yeah, I love that. I love that the actors all got on the ride to sort of film this. It's brilliant.
Yeah, not everyone is on every ride, so they did have people go on the rides. Of course they did. Yeah, it's kind of cool that they have Jevon at the front here, because Jevon doesn't get featured that much in this episode, so it's nice that he's on the front with Del here.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's because maybe he wanted to ride the front.
Other people didn't want to go on the ride. Yeah, it could be. But I love Del's face though. Who's like, no,
yeah,
no. Like,
that's me on a roller coaster.
I mean, this roller coaster would be very tame compared to some of the ones that we've been on together.
Yeah, this is a very cool, old-fashioned British seaside dipper style wooden coaster.
I think this was one of the oldest roller coasters. I think it's still closed. I know that there was sort of a petition to try and get it opened again. Do you know about this?
Okay, yeah. So this is from IMDb, because I just copy-pasted it because it took me such a long time.
Yeah.
I like to reword things, but I didn't. IMDb trivia says the roller coaster shown in the episode is the UK's oldest roller coaster and the 5th oldest in the world, the Scenic Railway, and is still at the Dreamland amusement park in Margate. It is listed by English Heritage and has been rebuilt and reopened along with the rest of the park. The Ferris wheel and the spinning boat, the Mary Rose, which were also shown, have since been removed.
Yeah. Yeah, flat rides don't usually, well, some do, but usually flat rides don't get as, they don't usually get kept long term as roller coasters do. So same with Blackpool Pleasure Beach. All the old flat rides have now gone, but the roller coasters are still there.
Yeah, because they just don't last as long, and they're maybe not as easy to restore. I don't know.
I think there's just something about roller coasters. I think, most theme park enthusiasts would tell you there's something special about an old roller coaster that's been around for like 100 years. It's pretty cool to think.
Yeah.
All the people that have ridden it.
Well, it's just they replace all of the wooden track and all of the actual track under the coaster. How the hell is it the same bloody roller coaster?
I knew you were going to say that. How could it be the same bloody roller coaster?
This old coaster has had 20 new tracks.
It's true. I mean, yeah, if they really have taken down all of the original and put it back up in different material, then yes, it wouldn't be the same ride. But anyway, yes.
It's not. Great observation there, dude. So now we cut to the shot of the little boat and the sailor that looks like Albert. So yeah, this was added in because they saw it and thought of Albert. And this is a cute little story to add in here. The little boy racing with Albert was Patrick Murray's son, Ricky. And so Patrick and his whole family had come down to Margate, but they actually stayed in a caravan site between Margate and Ramsgate because he had his kids. And then when it came time to shoot that moment, Adrian Pegg said to Patrick Murray, "I hope you don't mind, Pat, but we haven't cast the little boy yet, so do you mind if we use your son?" He's so cute in this scene.
Oh, he's so cute in that bit, yeah, laughing at Albert with everyone else.
And Albert's face is really funny, so yeah. So then there's a really quick little shot here of the log flume coming in. Oh, this is where I can't see who the 6th rider is. I see Del and Rodney at the back, Boise in the middle, and Trigger and Mike in the front. Who's the other person in the log flume covering their head?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked. Yeah, this is actually a shoot ride. You don't see many of these around anymore because they're so simplistic. Like log flumes obviously are a lot more involved, but there used to be a shoot ride at Blackpool. I remember because it used to be behind where Valhalla is, and it was sitting there like standing but not operating for a long time, and I always wanted to go on it because I was like, oh my god, look at this ride that I can't get on. And these things now are pretty rare. I don't even know if there's any of them left actually. No,
I'm not sure I've ever been on one of these. Yeah.
No, they're like an original sort of log flume design, but it just goes up on one side and down the other side. There's nothing more to it. I suppose now they do have them, but they tend to be like practically like almost vertical drops, and they tend to be huge, big, wide boats that sit a lot of people in them.
Yeah.
If they have this sort of simplistic design. So yeah, quite a special ride to feature in this episode.
Yeah, a little piece of history there included. So then we get a quick shot of Albert getting some donuts, and good on him, he finally slaps Del away when Del tries to take his food. This is probably the only time he's ever successful in stopping Del.
Not even at the end of this episode when Del steals his breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. So I said payback for all those years of Del stealing Albert's food. He gets a slap on the hand. So yeah. We briefly see Harry again as he is alone at the top of the big wheel, still looking very ill.
Now that shot must have been interesting to get.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they're filmed. I mean, I guess they, if I had to guess, they mounted the camera in another one of the gondolas like nearby. But it looks like it's looking down on him. So I guess they had to film at a very specific moment when the big wheel was coming to the top and they were looking down. Yeah.
I always thought it was filmed from the next cart, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
So then, final little bit of the montage in the scene breakdown is going to be that Del encouraging everybody to get on the Mary Rose. So the big funfair ride that's basically a ship that goes in a 360 loop, goes upside down it. And so I wrote here, it looks like Del is loading the ride, which is not something that would be done now. But to be honest, because this is like an old-fashioned seaside town, maybe it was normal to have everybody load themselves. I feel like, it looks like he works there.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought Del pressed the button as well. Like, I thought that was Del's hand, like, pressing the button. Because it's kind of implied that it is in the episode, which is really funny.
Yeah,
no way.
It's not Del offering the ride, but yeah, Del looks like he's going to get in and then he doesn't, which is the funny thing, that Del walks away and then everybody else goes on it and then they all come off ill and Del is holding like a... I don't know, is it an ice cream?
Oh my God, I was going to ask you, what is Del eating at the end when they get off the Mary Rose? Yeah, because it looks like it's got whipped cream or something on the top. But it also looks like but it's not an ice cream. Yeah, it looks like almost like a waffle with like whipped cream. I don't know what that is. I've always wondered that too.
Yeah, this could be a very specific, it could be a Margate thing, it could just be a seaside thing that we never had. So let us know if you know what that is. He goes and orders it, and then he comes away walking away with it, holding it, and they all get off.
Yeah.
And they all kind of look woozy around him. And I just skipped over the moment where he gets his donut because it falls from the Mary Rose, which is very funny.
Does that mean Albert went on the Mary Rose?
Well, maybe some of the others had donuts, but I thought...
Yeah.
I did think it was weird that they all went on the Mary Rose wearing hats and holding loose articles, considering it went upside down.
Yeah, you'd never be allowed to do that. Yeah, I mean...
Not now, no, but...
I nearly lost my wallet on one of these rides at Drayton Manor when we were growing up. They had the Sky Flyer, and I remember going upside down and my wallet was on the inside pocket of my jacket and it fell out onto the floor when we were coming back down, and I put my foot on it and I had to keep my foot on it all the way through the ride to stop it going out.
Yeah, this is taken a lot more seriously nowadays, especially in some countries. I remember in Japan, like they made us take like every single loose item off.
Yes.
Everything. Like not all your clothes, but every loose item.
In quite a few of the rides I went on in Japan, like anything that had your legs dangling, they make you take your shoes off.
Yeah, right.
Like in America, a lot of the time it's optional, but in Japan, like no matter how sturdy your shoes are and they're clearly not going to come off, they still make you take them off.
I mean, some theme parks are stricter than others. So, yeah, it depends. But in this day and age, I don't think anybody gave a shit about this. And you can see that there's a cage around it, but obviously big enough for a donut to fall through. So, but Trigger takes his dolphin and everything on it. So it's very funny that they have all those items. So,
but don't they all look like they're enjoying the ride so much in that shot of them going around with like Nick Lyndhurst in the foreground, and then they get off and they all look like they hated the ride.
They all look like they had a great time, which they did, but then they felt ill. That's the way I always think of it. Yeah, they all look mad at Del, and Del tries to put his arm around Mike, and Mike like pushes him away. So this is actually how the montage part ends. So the music is fading out at this point. So I have more notes, but I figured, do you want to do your notes and then I'll do my notes because I've talked so much?
I guess I've said most of my notes, so I guess I'll just say this is one of my favourite scenes of anything ever.
Yeah.
Like it's so heartwarming and nostalgic and amazing, and I could just, if I ever feel glum, if I watch that montage, I'll instantly feel better.
Okay, so that's all you had. All right, John Sullivan.
That's literally all I had because I said all the other stuff as you were going through.
All right, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, because I wanted to leave some of these notes to the end so it didn't like clunk up my flow too much. But I already mentioned that this was Dreamland, and you can still go to Dreamland. We've never been there, and I'm assuming it's not somewhere that you'd be super excited to go for purposes of rides, right? Because
no, but For Only Fools and Horses, yes. For the, I'd like to go to the location where Only Fools and Horses was filmed, yes. But for the rides, no. These would be very, very, very tame rides, in my opinion, now. I usually only go for things that are sort of over 300 foot in the air these days.
Yeah, and a lot of the time these rides can be a bit rough, and with restraints that hurt you and stuff. So I wouldn't think you'd be that pumped to go, but you might enjoy it if you went just for the day.
Well, like I said, for the Only Fools and Horses nostalgia, I'd love to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm assuming they're planning on going there on the Jolly Boys tours. So yeah, hopefully be able to see everything that you can see that's still there, that's familiar.
Yeah.
So it says in the lovely Jubbly book that Adrian Pegg was responsible for getting everybody where they needed to be so that filming in each location went smoothly. A quote from Tony Dow here from the book says, "The day we arrived, the sun came out and it stayed out all the time we were there. It was a very happy time as we were all together, but poor old Adrian had a nightmare. Every time we went for a take, he had to yell, 'Please shut up,' to everybody, and the cast and the extras were all just so undisciplined and having a great time." So that's why a lot of the scenes seem natural, I guess, is because they were. Because a lot of the time they probably were just like, "Oh, fuck this, let's just film them all laughing together," because you can use that shot. So
exactly.
So I was going to write a longer bit about the helicopter and I didn't get round to it, but I did write this, and that is that the same helicopter that filmed the long shot of the coach entering Margate took the 3 lead cast members back to London to receive an award from BBC Children's Television. So I think that's kind of cool. So that's similar to when they left the shoot for the Royal Flush to go and do the Royal Variety shows.
Yes, I was going to say, I know you told a story similar to that once before.
Yeah, so this happens quite often.
From a Royal Flush! Yeah, second mention.
I'm just going to start calling it RF, so we don't have to mention the Royal Flush. Yeah, like a lot of the time, when they're trying to do these schedules, like these things come up, and it really probably throws quite a spanner in the works. But they always manage it really well.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool. So a quote again from Lovely Jubbly from John Sullivan. "The shoot was brilliant. It was a great laugh. I enjoyed it tremendously. Whenever I write an episode that includes all the characters, it does become a slightly schizophrenic experience because you're going from one character's thoughts to another and trying to stay true to each character. You end up with a bit of a migraine, but those episodes are worth all the trouble when you pull them off." And he's right. I mean, there's no way this was simple and easy, but look what you get out of it. So that's great. I'm just going to add in this last bit here because I read a kind of a wild fan theory once that the entire episode was based off the 1969 movie Midnight Cowboy, starring Jon Voight and Dustin Hoffman. And I was like, I don't understand how an episode can be based off of a movie. Now, there's no way it is. The movie is not about the same thing as this episode. I think what they meant is there is a ton of nods to that movie in this scene. And my theory is that John Sullivan loved that movie, and because he decided to use Everybody's Talking, he decided to do a couple of extra nods to the movie.
Right.
So I watched the movie so that I could see what I thought maybe the nods were. And this song basically plays like crazy all the way through Midnight Cowboy. Like if you watch Midnight Cowboy, you will have it playing in your head for like 2 weeks because it just keeps cutting in and out. And there's lots of scenes near the beginning of the movie where Jon Voight is leaving and he goes on the coach. And there's lots of coach scenes where he's on a coach and he's with some people singing on the coach. So I think that's kind of one of the nods to the movie.
Right.
The main one that I think everybody knows is when he's doing the walk, that everyone's like, why? Like a lot of people have questioned, like, why is Dale walking down the seafront doing that walk where he's pointing his toes kind of inwards?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that when I was a kid. I don't know if you did.
I just thought he was having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so like people think he's just doing a funny walk, but he's actually doing the walk that Dustin Hoffman's character in Midnight Cowboy does. Rico Razzo Rizzo walks like that because that's his character's thing. He walks funny like that.
Rico.
Not Rico, but yeah. I wonder if that's another homage, just calling Rico, but yeah. And they're actually back to back, in my opinion. The other bit that I really do think is a nod to the movie, and people could tell me that I'm crazy for this, but warning here for spoilers. This will spoil the movie, Midnight Cowboy, so switch off now if you don't want to hear the end. Giving everybody a moment.
Okay, bye-bye.
Dustin Hoffman's character dies on the coach at the end of the movie when he's sitting next to Jon Voight. And the shot of him sleeping on the coach, Jon Voight reaches over and tries to wake him. And he's not able to because he's dead. But in my opinion, that moment where Rodney tries to wake Del and Del actually wakes up and just mouths piss off, that is a nod to the movie, because why else would Del be asleep? Like, has anybody ever wondered why Del is asleep when they're around?
Because they had to leave before breakfast and they're all tired.
You can shoot me down if you want. I'm going to die on this hill. This is a nod to that movie when that moment where Dustin Hoffman can't be woken up because he's dead. When Rodney wakes Del, that's what that is a joke about. So let me know if you agree. This is a very famous movie, so I should think a lot of people of this era will have seen it. Because that's the joke. Why else would Del tell Rodney to piss off as well? It's quite funny. He's like shaking him. He's like, Del, wake up. And Del's like, piss off. Because he's not dead.
Because he's trying to sleep on the coach because he had to leave before breakfast.
But why would he be asleep when he's arriving in Margate?
Well, you know, sometimes when you fall asleep, you're a bit cranky if someone wakes you up before you wanted to wake up yourself.
Trust me that if you saw this movie, because I know you'll never watch it, but if you see the scene, if you just see the shot just of the two of them sitting with Dustin's head to the side with his mouth slightly open sleeping, it immediately made me think, this is from the Jolly Boys outing.
Okay, so we're going to stop there for this week because these episodes are very long and obviously we need to split the Jolly Boys outing into 2 parts. So this is the end of part 1. Join us next week. So we're not going to wait 2 weeks for the second half, don't worry. Join us next week when we'll be discussing part 2 of the Jolly Boys outing. Until then...
2, 4, 6, 8 minutes away. Me and my radio trucking on through the night.
Au revoir, listeners. If you like what you hear and want to contact us, you can email us at longlivehookeystreetpodcast@gmail.com. All one word, no spaces.
Please like the video and subscribe. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, iHeart, Instagram, Facebook, and please use the link in the description for our Buy Me a Coffee.
Bonjour.